I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, folks. Order of business is going to change a little bit. We have special guests who are here to present for us. So if we want to call the police department to come up. So just a little bit about this. This was old business. A few months back, or a month back, I don't know, the time flies, we approved adding an additional officer to the West Boylston Police Department. And if you would introduce yourselves.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry, you haven't read.
I'll let the chief go.
Sergeant Tom Belvin, West Boylston Police, currently acting as chief.
Officer Dave Glesterman, West Boylston Police Department.
Wonderful. Just make sure you have the mic close if you want to move it towards the computer a little bit.
Okay.
Or just yell in it.
He's already got to remember how to advance the slides.
Yeah, I know.
I think we got this.
All right, you got it. Go for it.
As I said, my name is Officer David Westerman. I've been with the police department for 19 years, and we're here today to request increase in staffing that's needed. I put a PowerPoint together because I'm technically savvy. I would like to thank the Selectboard and the Town Administrator for their time and consideration in the situation the department is in. The West Boylston Police Department currently has 13 full-time police officers. We have not added a body to adding to staffing in over 35 years. FBI statistics state that the town of West Boylston should be at approximately 24 police officers. They go 3 police officers per 1,000 people, residents. As of 12/17/25, we are currently working with 9 officers, and as of 12/31, 8 officers. The department, historically, we generally have someone out long-term injured, whether it's an arrest or whatever it may be. But at least for the last 7, 8 years that we've been in the new building, we've had someone injured long-term. Unfortunately, it's part of the job. Area departments. The Sterling Police Department has 14 full-time police officers, 3 part-timers. Rutland Police Department has 16 full-time and 3 part-time. Spencer has 18 full-time police officers, and Westminster 14 full-time, 4 part-time. They have nothing compared to what we have for commercial industry, maybe close to the same population, but the amount of people that are coming into our town between 7 a.m. and 11 p.m. by far surpasses any of these towns. Why are we requesting more officers? The taxpayers deserve a fully staffed and funded police department, plain and simple. Officer safety working majority shifts with only 2 officers. You can't do that in this modern time anymore. 2 officers is just not enough. Burnout rate, when whether this job, it mentally and physically, it just depletes you. There's been a total of 70 forced overtime shifts this year. If an officer is forced on both his days off, he'll end up working 10 days straight without a day off. It's really starting to wear the officers out. It mentally and just physically drains you. This is a growing town. The town is growing in population with large apartment complexes being built, commercial industry, which draws tens of thousands of people to the town of West Boylston daily. 5-year plan. I'm asking, the police department's asking, to approve 3 full-time police officers in the fiscal year of 2027, or 1 immediately in 2026. Approve 1 full-time one in fiscal year 2028, approve 1 full-time in 2029. And then in 30 and 31, we sit down with the Board of Selectmen and the Town Administrator, see what the needs of the department and the town are. Let's not repeat the past, let's look to the future. Our citizens, business owners, and the officers that I work with deserve to have the help that they need. Officer safety, again, we can no longer operate safely with 2 officers per shift. What would be the solution? 7 to 3 shift, which is our day shift, 3 patrol officers and a sergeant, 3 to 11, 3 patrol officers and a sergeant, and the overnight shift, 2 patrol officers and a sergeant. If you think about this, if an officer is seriously injured or killed in the line of duty, the family's attorney is gonna say, what do you mean you haven't added anybody in 35 years? I mean, what would that cost the town in litigation alone? It's gonna be millions and millions of dollars compared to getting us the staffing that we need. Let's just avoid that, get the people we need, get the taxpayers and the officers what they need. 2 officers on the road, I continue to say this. So if we have a car accident on Route 12, let's say, we have 2 officers working. I have 1 officer who's getting the information, 1 officer who's tending to the injured, getting tows, getting the information. If we have an arrest, we have with 2 officers working, we have 1 officer that has to stay in the station with a prisoner. That means that second officer, any call he goes to, he's going alone until we can get mutual aid from another town. That's an issue. So we know 7 miles exactly from this location, there was an officer-involved shooting. So these are real problems we have to worry about. So if I call the next town because we have a domestic, it's gonna take 15, 20 minutes for another town to come. That's a lifetime. You fight with someone for a minute, it's a lifetime, and I can tell you that for a fact. When another call comes in again, mutual aid, we call the area towns, and when seconds count, the police are minutes away in the best case scenario. And if they're coming from another town, we're talking 15 plus minutes. Again, I can't stress that enough. 2 officers is just not enough. Burnout rate, officers are continually being forced at a high rate. Officers this year were forced 70 times. 7-0. This is causing burnout, being forced on your scheduled days off or being forced to stay after your normal 8 hours tour of duty. So you're working 7 to 3, someone calls out, now you're forced, you've had no time to be ready to work that extra 8 hours and you have no choice. It's detrimental to the officers. Officers are dealing with most things what most citizens may once or twice see in a lifetime. Our officers are dealing with that on a daily basis. Why I say that is, you might drive by a car accident, you might drive by something where you see something horrific. The men and women of our department are seeing it on a daily basis. You continually force people, again, this is just mentally gonna drain people. It's a real issue. Our officers need to enjoy their days off with their families, like everybody else, and not have to worry about being forced on a constant basis. We had one of our officers who were forced on both his days off. That's 10 days in a row. It's bad. Area departments are paying more money, they're larger staffing, and less forces. People are starting to talk in our department about leaving. We have a very good group of officers in our department. I mean, really good group. Just good common sense, good with people, good with the community, and it would be a shame to lose them. We border Worcester, the 2nd largest city in New England. We have 190, Route 12, 140. This is a direct drug route from New York to Worcester to Fitchburg. This came from detectives in MSP in Worcester. It's a known fact. We've had 2 shootings in town. People have been shot in our town. This is not Mayberry anymore. And a 3rd right on the 190 line, Worcester 190 line. We had a carjacking at Dairy Queen. Numerous involvements with area gang members, and it's becoming more prevalent. And then, again, assisting the Mass State Police on 190. As I said earlier, and I try not to repeat myself, Walmart, approximately 2,000 customers a day. This will double, if not triple, when Super Walmart comes. Year to date, we've had 126 calls there. And I can tell you they're all bizarre. There's nothing normal about those calls. Cogmex has approximately 210 employees, and if you've ever been down and seen their buildings, they're massive. So if 2 police officers have to go to any kind of critical incident in there, it would take forever. Waste Management, 80 employees, 50 commercial vehicles. Curtis Cab, they have 130 employees and they're working 2 shifts. Century Drive, they're building 92 North Main Street, 3 huge apartment buildings. Gatesbrook Complex, which is coming up on Route 12 in West Boylston, which is gonna have apartments and commercial industry. It's gonna cause a tremendous amount more traffic on Route 12. And again, standalone Dunkin' Donuts is supposedly being built. In Dairy Queen, the accidents that happen there are frequent. Active shooters. Again, we just had one at a school in Rhode Island. Unfortunately, it's a real possibility. Our schools, we need a school resource officer. That's bad we don't have one, right? Large companies, if someone came in to do harm to someone in cosmetics or Curtis Cab, and we only had 2 officers, those buildings are massive. Apartment complex, or something not that comes to town hall. I mean, it could happen. Again, we're bordering Worcester. We have the same problems as the city, and we need to be ready. School resource officer, again, do we really want to be the only school in central Massachusetts without a resource officer? An officer assigned to the schools is a major deterrent for an active shooter. We are without a doubt a soft target. Holden, Sterling, Princeton, Paxton, Spencer, Boylston all have school resource officers. We do not. Staffing shortage on 3 to 11. Staffing has a maximum number of 2 officers scheduled on 3 to 11 shift to work each day. Every 6 days, there is 2 days with only 1 officer scheduled, which requires overtime and possibly, again, being forced. Thursdays through Sunday, the police department pays out overtime, non-forceable for a 3rd officer on 3 to 11, as these are historically the busiest shifts. Thank you for your time and consideration in this matter, and if you have any questions, either I would answer or Acting Chief Belvin.
Thank you for your presentation. I would just ask if we could take down the presentation, just because I know there's probably people on the online one. I just want to ask, based on some information we got prior, we had about, for 5 months or 6 months, we had about 173 hours of overtime. Total shifts. If I look at what you presented here, it looks like we are pretty on par to have, we had 22 shifts that required, if year to date, if we're just going from the beginning of the year now, 22 shifts that required a force. And you said we will be down to 8, or we are down to 8?
We will be down to 8 as of the 25th of December.
Okay,
He's retiring.
you're done.
I am done.
This is your thank you, goodbye.
This is, I'm passionate about this, and I'm passionate about the safety of the people I work with, and we need this, so I'm here for that.
I'll go, I don't know if Raj, do you want to have questions?
So
And we had some from before.
Chief, we did approve 1 police officer. That's in some kind of dispute with the,
Yes, so,
how we can fix that?
well, we can't. The only way that would have worked budget-wise is for us to create a swing shift. If you remember, it was the 7 PM to 3 AM.
Yeah.
The shifts are listed in the CBA, so it does not list a swing shift. I spoke with the Union E-Board, and everybody wants the officer. But they consulted with their attorneys, and they decided that we needed to negotiate for that position, for that to be put into the contract. And what they were asking for it would have ended up costing more money than saving money. Because they're looking for, just what David said, more guys on a shift. They don't want to have just 2, they want to have 3 if possible. And that would create more overtime than would be affordable in the budget.
But with this presentation, you are asking 1 more for 2026,
Yes, so,
not 3.
yes, so, well, go ahead, you speak to that.
So, what I was looking for is for the next fiscal year, 3 police officers, unless we could get 1 immediately now and then 2 for the next fiscal year. But we need 3 minimum to start.
Going from the first part, so we should, if the world was perfect, we should have 13 right now, but we only have 9. And that's because of people on injuries. Are we still, how does this work? Is insurance paying those? Are we still paying the full? Can we replace them or backfill them?
They are on IOD, injured on duty.
Okay,
So it goes through the town insurance,
okay,
and they go through the town doctors, and because of that, that process is slow. Getting appointments, getting the insurance to approve the appointments is a slow process.
okay, so not, typically if someone's out, say in my group, I can backfill, if it's gonna be more than 6 months, I can backfill that position. I still have to have the position available for them when they come, or if they can come back to work. In this position, I'm just thinking if we get down to 8, I mean, the reality is we wanna
We are
backfill.
We're in the process of hiring somebody to backfill his position.
Okay. But I don't know if that would solve anything, because we'd still only have
It's
9.
still gonna be the same position we're in right now. It's just, it won't be as bad as if we left his position open.
Last time you were here, it was an overtime expenditure of $114,216.43. I'm guessing that number is gonna be very substantial.
Right, and it's not just for shift overtime, that's also training. We just had firearms training, which is mandated by the state 3 times a year. The CPR training, which is mandated by the state. And then we are training a assistant detective. We like to have 2 officers that are trained in case one goes on vacation or gets injured. So that's included in that bill as well.
And I think Acting Chief Balvin and I have discussed the budget, because certainly we want to make sure that that appropriation that we made in May is sufficient
Oh, yeah.
to get us to June 30th. We're confident
Yes, we'll
that-
stay in budget.
you won't need a further appropriation, that although the overtime is a large number, it is not outside of the budgeting process.
Fortunately, Chief Minnick, during last year's budget, foresaw a lot of what is going on. We already knew that one of the officers were injured. It's been going on for a while. And there's some Family Medical Leave Act. We knew that some officers were starting families or adding to their families. And we anticipated that Dave may be retiring. So that was added into the budget to make sure we don't go over.
And I'll also acknowledge that as part of our insurance coverage for the injured on duty, the town does receive a significant portion of those 2 salaries back every pay period.
Okay.
So although there is a significant impact to the budget to have 2 officers out and receiving their full salaries, our insurance coverage does provide.
Well, that's great to hear, because that, to me, would be, why wouldn't we just, like the other towns, even bring in part-time folks? Or,
Well,
Well, yeah, I'll let you
so
speak to that.
years ago, the union put in the CBA, with the agreement of the town, obviously, that we would not have part-time folks. We used to have reserve officers, is what they were called, and
We don't.
those were phased out.
Well, but I think post had
Well,
makes that
so-
also challenging. It's another layer.
So, a police officer is a police officer. And in the past, reserve officers wouldn't have as much training. Now, they would be required to do the same training that we are, because they have to be a certified police officer. You're going to find a limited pool of people that want to go through all of that training, including an academy, just to work part-time. So even if we had part-time positions open, it would be very difficult to fill them.
all the other towns have a lot of part-time people.
It probably.
It's
people
probably a
that-
good feeder program too, to, as people retire, to come in.
Well, I couldn't speak to who their part-time.
I was just thinking if,
Yeah, I
if
don't
we
know.
had something available to us to,
There are some that
Help.
decided to take the Bridge Academy, which is it's not as long as the regular standard recruit academy.
okay,
And they've been working for years, they're given credit for the years that they've been working, and then they get a certification through post. But those are people that have been working with that department for years, probably.
because my thought is even hiring one person, I don't feel like that's gonna help you in your situation. I know it meets the budget needs, but I don't know if it's gonna help you with the safety needs. Like, I feel like we should be helping.
One of your questions was, can we hire somebody and put them on a shift that's already in the CBA and cut some of the overtime? It would cut some of the overtime, just by having that
Yeah.
person there, but it wouldn't cut enough out of the overtime budget to pay for it. So we would come up short on our budget by June. If we were not to get a supplement, is what I'm saying.
Well, that's where I'm kind of looking. I know our budgets are tight, but, I mean, even 8 or 9 officers are, if one more person gets hurt, we're gonna be sitting here anyways, right? Like, so if we
Well,
get
then-
down to 8 and one person gets hurt, we're gonna come back for a supplement.
Then all bets are off, and before the May meeting, I'd be asking for a supplement, yes.
That's where,
So, if we had a crystal ball,
I-
we would be in a much better position, all of us here today. One of your officers who's on family medical leave, he's back
He'll be back at the end of this month.
at the end of this month. So that is already bringing one back. That leaves you 2 out and then 1 retirement, which we're hoping will be.
And we've already started that process, we've
Held
received
soon.
applications already, so.
If the select board and the police chief and the town administrator agree that a supplemental, you would have to go to town meeting and get an appropriation for that. I would not be comfortable advertising and recruiting for another officer, or two officers without having that appropriation in place, because there's no guarantee that town meeting would approve that. So
I would
you
not
know
wanna
that you'd
hire
be,
somebody and then lay them off,
right,
because town meeting voted it down.
so you'd be functioning at a anticipated deficit, which would be, especially when you're talking about somebody's salary and benefits. So if you think that this is something that you'd like to move forward with, I'm sure, I mean, we have the start of a really great town meeting presentation already. But it's certainly something that if the town feels that that's an investment they want to make, you do have some available free cash, and there's your, well, actually, no, I take that back.
Since
Yeah,
the
we
officer's
could.
already so well trained in that presentation, I presume he'll be here in May to advocate for his fellow officers at town meeting. Is that correct?
If the select board is willing to back this, and the town administrator, whoever's here, is willing to help me get this done, yeah, I would follow this through.
I am certainly willing to back the police department in their lobbying efforts with the town to say we should increase our officer level. I think your presentation is fairly well laid out and gives a pretty black and white layout of we don't have enough people in this profession to meet the needs. And it's causing undue stress and other problems with the department. So I think that lays out a very logical, plain argument to the town to say, please open up your wallets a little bit and help us inch this up. I think the follow-on years become a different conversation, but your immediate needs are super clear right at this moment, so.
I think you are looking at making this decision in May, as opposed to anything in the interim. If the one officer would make a difference, that would be, but Tom's looked at the numbers in both directions, and it really becomes cost prohibitive to bring on another officer.
We'll be short. I'll be short on my budget if I were to bring an officer on without having that swing shift in place.
we're short on so many budgets. I get yelled at every day over money that we don't have in town. Do we know the amount short, what the shortfall would be? I know it's taking a risk, but if something does happen in town before May, we will be held accountable because we knew and we didn't do something. So I'm worried there too.
This needs to be addressed now, and this needs to be taken care of now. I understand there's budgets, and that some of the stuff that's beyond me, but the safety of the people we work with in the community, it just has to be done. This has been going on for 35 years. We haven't added anybody. Enough's enough. We need more people.
So do we know what the numbers would be to add?
It's very difficult because we don't know everybody that's gonna be out on what shifts and what shifts are gonna need to be filled. And we were very confident that with that swing shift, we'd be able to, because with the swing shift, we're not, if somebody calls out sick or takes a personal day or whatever, personal time off, usually we'd have to fill it for 8 hours. With that
Yep.
swing shift, we could fill it for 4 hours, and it would cut it in half. Also, adding a person would eliminate a lot of the just needing to call somebody in
Yep.
overtime. But it wouldn't increase our staff because we would still go down to 2 if somebody called in. We would just keep that person on.
But it's better than one.
Well, we would never do one, we just have, that's why we have forces, we have to make sure we have 2 people on at least.
So I think in your presentation, it said 3 to 11 for one person, to hire someone for 3 to 11? Or that's the busiest
Well,
shift?
We would, if we got an extra officer, a 14th officer, we would have to see where it best fits in to cover most of the overtime. We would look where most of the overtime is coming from, probably is 3 to 11, but that's something I would have to look at with the schedule. 3 to 11 is also, it's not the busiest shift because day shift is pretty busy, but day shift is busy with a lot of mundane things. 3 to 11 is busy with criminal activity, so I would prefer to have them on that shift when, at night, you know, the guys would need it.
Can I ask one? So if we hire two more police officers, do you think we can eliminate all the overtime or no?
You can never eliminate all the overtime, because there's training, like I said, which is mandated by post.
Except training, yeah.
Yeah, and then court, and then personal time off. I mean, if we go down to 2 officers, we'd eliminate a lot, you know, we could just not fill that 3rd position on that shift. But it's,
And
there's
you,
always gonna be overtime on the department, there's just no way around that.
and you definitely do not have an FY '26 appropriation for
Oh,
2.
no, I'm just
Yeah.
asking.
Yeah, I just,
I know it's a overtime is at this time, 120,000, something around.
one,
So if we hire the 2 police officers, I was thinking, maybe that
and you
covers
have
the
to
salary.
consider, this isn't just hiring 2 officers and paying 2 officers' salaries. You're looking at benefits, you're
Benefits
looking
and-
at
yep, yep.
uniforms, you're looking at firearms, you're looking at training, you're looking at a possible cruiser. I mean, they'd have to have a vehicle to drive. I mean,
Depending
so-
on how many you
yeah,
hire.
so I mean, there are additional costs that are involved in increasing your labor force.
What is, Chief Minnick told me, this is a few years ago, God, I feel like I'm gonna misstate it. The all-in cost for an officer, or the starting range for a certain step?
Oh, well,
I know, I was gonna say, I'm scared to say the number, cause I think it was like 4 years ago, so I know that number is probably not right now. But it was like grade 1 with,
so usually we would plan for starting at step 2, because we usually hire somebody with experience, we don't put
Okay.
somebody through the academy. And like right now, we're going through the process, we have 5 applicants with police experience, so.
okay,
We would try to start them at step 2, and let's see. And we would presume a bachelor's degree. I think this is the number. Seems awful low. This number says 44,000.
I
Now
think it
that's-
was like 60 with benefits
Well, I
and
think with,
something.
and you also have to, add in half the holidays, which is extra on top, and then the benefits, of course. And then,
Okay.
the cost of uniform, the contract stipulates what we provide for uniforms for them. And then, you get stipends and, everything else that is all included in that's not included in that base number.
Can I ask a question?
Go for it.
Can you speak more to the school resource officer? Where would that be a police budget or a school budget?
I can actually speak to that. So in the past, we have it in our contract ready to go for a school resource officer. Because, it's not like the swing shift. We put it in there, the last contract, and it's ready to go if we ever hire somebody for it. The thought was back when Administrator Lucier was here, that the school would pay a portion and we would pay a portion. I don't know what that number is, 50-50, I don't know, but that's how it was planned out.
Okay.
And I've spoken to Superintendent Riley. I don't want to speak for him, so maybe I shouldn't.
He's not here.
I just looked
not
to
opposed.
see if he was on there. I did speak to him too. He seemed to not be opposed to it.
He's not opposed to it. We'll leave it at that, the minutia hasn't been figured out, but he's not opposed to it in there.
So in like the timeline where, in 2027, you want to have a certain amount, where does this officer come in? What year?
So in order to, that officer would be, it wouldn't be one officer, it wouldn't probably be two, because that officer is strictly the schools. They stay at the schools all day, and they're not coming out answering calls with us unless, a meteor falls from the sky. So I would say it would have to be like a third position in order for it to increase the number of patrolmen on the road at the time.
And then generally, if it's okay if I speak, when school's not in, that officer's backfilled into where they would either go 3 to 11 or day shift when school's not in, so it would be an additional officer.
So they would report to the chief, though?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
they're
so they would
still-
take directions from the chief?
Still a police officer under the direction of the chief of police of
Okay.
West Boylston. They just assigned to the school.
Is there, if I may, is there additional training that school resource officers take? So they're essentially, they become, other than the title, is also more of a specialized role in the types of trainings that they do to interact with children and.
Yes, and you'd need, obviously, the right personality.
Yes.
As well.
Sure.
Ideally, what year are we looking at to hire this person?
Well, I mean, if,
I think he just has the budget allowed now.
Yeah.
yeah,
So that could be something that that we instruct the chief to add to the FY '27 budget presentation. And if that is something that is supported by town meeting, there isn't a time frame necessarily for, I understand the phased approach to get to 5 officers. However, I think that the initial staffing concerns, including potentially a school resource officer, could be part of a presentation for your FY '27 budget. And I think that would be, if there's support from the select board, I mean, that would be this would be the time to do it. They're putting together their budgets for FY '27. They're due next week, or no, the first week of January. So, there's some figuring to do, but.
and may I say also, when I said 3 officers, I'm not taking into account the officer who are injured coming back.
Yeah.
So if those officers come back, the second officer could be a school resource officer, because then we'd be at 15 people. And that could work as well. But there's no timeline on that.
I'm curious for my own sort of understanding. I understand in your line of duty that injuries of all varieties can happen, and certainly at random unknown intervals. You've mentioned level of staffing over the last 30, 35 years. Do you all have statistics on, over that time period, typically how many, you said it's usually always someone is out for some reason, but do you have long-term data that shows what level we should expect for this department? Not just like on average, but do we have that information so we can because thinking that okay, we have 13 officers that we pay for, but knowing that we'll never have more than 10 available to us, that should I think recalculate how people consider the town budget going forward for that.
Unfortunately, it just depends on what happens. I don't want to go into detail about it, but one officer was injured, actually multiple officers have been injured making arrests. And you just can't plan for that. You just don't know when it's going to happen. So he says one officer, it's been consistently over the last couple of years, one person out for most of the year. Sometimes it's just months, sometimes it's more than a year. But 1 is the general average, I would say, without digging into the numbers.
Okay,
I don't have the numbers in front of me for that.
Go for it.
You have a question? No. No questions? Chris Berkman. I don't know.
Go for it, Chris. You have to walk up, sit near Heather, talk into the mic. I mean, we're already over, so I'm giving it a,
Come on in.
So, through you, Madam Chair, one of the questions to address immediate need is, have we looked at any potential grants? I know in the past, we have gotten public safety grants for position hirings, and I'm just wondering if that might be a resource that could possibly be used on the revenue side.
That was one of the questions that you had submitted. So the list for grants does not come out until May. So we won't know if there's anything available to us until May. And that's all dependent on how much money the state or the feds want to kick in for these grants. Then we would be, if we find one, we would be very willing to apply for one and try to get it. But I would want to make sure that the town was committed to keeping that person after the grant runs out. The grants in the past that I'm familiar with, first year, they pay for 75% of the pay of the salary, second year 50, third year 25, and then fourth year nothing. I wouldn't want to hire somebody and then tell them 4 years from now, sorry, we don't have the money for you, you're laid off. So I would just, I know there's no way to make a commitment like that, multiple years for a town, but I want to make sure the money was going to be there, at least possibly.
money is never guaranteed.
Yes, I know.
But, thanks, Chris. So, I would say, I'm happy that you are hiring someone. I do think, knowing what we know, though, we should really take a look at, I know there's gonna be a deficit, no one likes that, but,
No, right now, we're not projecting a deficit in that budget.
but I think if the select board now said, we took a vote last time to hire someone, because we knew there was a need. What we're hearing now is, there's still a need, and you're retiring at the end of this month, replacing your shift doesn't fix what we were trying to fix the last meeting.
This level,
No offense, but that's not gonna help you folks. It just puts us back at the same place we were at that meeting that we had here, where we said, we see a problem, we need to address it. I would say, if you're willing to go to town meeting, or that's in April or
It's May.
May, it's right around the block, I think, is there an appetite to have another 3, even 3 to 11, an officer hired for 3 to 11, possibly stay till town meeting to do the presentation, to put a full plan in front of the town to make a recommendation, and we know that if we do hire an additional police officer from 3 to 11, we're gonna run at a deficit. We're hiring in addition to what we have today, because that was our last meeting. Our last meeting was we agreed to hire a officer without the retiring of an officer to add to the force. Now we're saying, not only we're not doing that, but at this meeting, we know we're only gonna have 9, meaning the last meeting when we took a vote to hire, we actually didn't hire an extra person.
10,
well, with the family medical leave,
yeah,
it's not,
at the end of the month.
it'll be back up.
At the end of December, it'll be back up?
That one person's coming back from the family medical leave.
So, but we'll still be at 9.
Well,
Well,
I was gonna say, so,
As far as active officers,
Like, I can
this
ask-
gentleman will roll off into retirement, and then
then-
shortly after him, someone will rejoin the force.
Yeah, so I anticipate, if everything goes well, by February, we'll have somebody on the road to replace David.
And
To
again,
backfill his position.
if I'm stepping out of, I don't know how all this works. I'm more than happy to stay if the board is willing to hire that person now until the May meeting and do whatever we have to do. But again, we need to get somebody in place.
I don't know if you
so
can.
we can absolutely hire somebody to replace your position, but I am not in a position to recommend that the town hire another officer that would have to meet one of your,
I want to make sure that the town, that the
Right.
budget
right, we can't
is
deficit
approved
spend.
at town meeting before I hire somebody that's gonna, in other words, I don't want to lay somebody off. And I know it's possible that the town meeting would vote in favor, but it's not 100% guaranteed. And the people that are applying already have jobs and they have families. And if I don't know how many people would want to take the job with that stipulation that, hey, the funding might not be there in July.
But even with that, which is a wonderful sentiment, you can't deficit spend. And you would be knowingly going into a situation where you would be deficit spending. So, short of an interim town meeting, and again, we'd have to look at what available resources, if you wanted to have a town meeting sooner than May and appropriate within the current fiscal year, but you've already set your tax rate. I mean, it's pretty murky to be doing anything within your current fiscal year. You could in May, and again, you could do a budget fix in May and look to hire an officer sooner than July 1, if there's money available in May. You know, I mean, all of this is getting into such a gray area of what you can do in FY '26. Really, I think you're, from a fiscal responsibility, safe space, and I realize that
So we're gonna put dollars over the safety of officers.
it's not dollars, it's a Department of Revenue.
Rule.
y-
I get it.
It's my job to not let your town,
And it's
And,
my job to say that I'm
Right.
concerned
And
about the officers in our department.
and I respect that tremendously. I just cannot at this meeting, and again, I realize that I could actually tell you anything you wanted to.
I
right?
was gonna say, I was
I
like,
would
you can
just
make it up
say-
as you go.
Best of luck. But I would caution you strongly not to make a directive to hire an officer that would more than likely put you in a deficit spending position within the current fiscal year.
May I just say that I would not hire somebody under those circumstances. Even if you said it was okay to do so, unless I was guaranteed that the money's gonna be there so the person does not get laid off.
Is there any way to reallocate anything to help
I mean,
make
we
it
did this
help?
on a grant with firefighters. I think we hired like, not the recent 3, but I think we got a grant to hire a bunch of them. And then we ran into this same problem when the funding ran out and we had to do a fix because we didn't have it. Why is this different? I'm only thinking, because leaving this meeting,
Because
if
when
something happens,
when you
we're,
hired that person, you had the appropriation, you had the grant funding to do so. That's why it's different. So what you don't have right now is an appropriation for this additional officer. So, may I make a suggestion?
yeah,
Tom,
Mhm.
you'll continue to work with the town administrator, and I would encourage you to bring your accounting staff into those conversations and try to map out, and I understand that there is, from what I'm understanding, there's no payroll like a police department payroll. And that if you could try to map out to the best of your ability what that, when and where you run into that deficit, and then what is the projected deficit from that day forward to the June 30th. And
Do my best.
then, well, like I said, I understand that your payroll is not, in my office, that would be a quick calculator, and I understand yours is very different. And then whatever that number is, whether there's a place, an appropriation within your existing. So the other issue is that you have a salary line and you have your services budget. And we've run into this with contractual services already this year, that you can't move money from your B budget, from your contractual services line items into your salary, and you can't move money from your salary into your contractual services. Whatever you have appropriated within your salary line is what you have for salaries, without a town meeting vote.
Well, that's where I'm
Yeah,
thinking,
I
we
mean,
have so
it's-
many officers out and we're getting a certain amount, unless someone tells me they're taking that insurance money and putting it in a different
No,
line item.
No, it's coming back in, but it doesn't
It's
cover,
being used
it
for
doesn't-
overtime.
No, it's going back into their salary budget, but it isn't the officer's full salary. We've actually just looked at that, because I don't think anybody had looked at that dollar amount probably in 20 years. It was about $800 is what we were receiving back per officer, which would have maybe been what their salary was 20 years ago. So we, as of effective 2 months ago, I think it was about 2 months ago, we closer to what the actual salaries are. But you're still not getting
The overtime,
the overtime.
fill that position. So,
And that's where, anyway, that would be my recommendation, is that you continue to have these conversations, try to project out to when you go off the cliff, and then what would what is the number from the cliff to June 30? And if there's an opportunity, again, you know, moving money around from your general budget into your salaries.
yeah.
It's-
I would like to, I know we're running, I know it's an emergent situation. I understand that. But again, I have to reiterate, I don't want to take the chance that this person is going to be laid off because it wasn't approved. I'm more than willing to create a budget, create 2 budgets for fiscal year '27 that include an officer, include 2 officers, and see how that goes, see if the finance committee agrees to it, and all the stuff that needs to be done. That's great. And if they approve at town meeting, 1 officer, 2 officers, and I look at our budget and we have enough to hire somebody in May, we won't over budget, then I will do that. But I want to make sure that that money is guaranteed, so that I'm not telling somebody in 6 months that they are laid off.
The only guarantee is, we have to go.
Right,
to-
I understand that, and I'm not looking for miracles, I'm just saying that that's my position. And I don't know how many officers would want to come into our department under those circumstances. I think 0, because everybody that we're hiring already has a job. And they would be leaving that position. Most of them have several years on that job, so they already have built up vacation time and step raises and whatnot, and they're willing to cut that down to come here, which I think says something about our department in the town. But if there was a question mark come July 1st, I would do it. Like, if it was me taking the position, no way I would do it.
Well, I think I hear from the select board, all of us are in favor of putting this to town meeting and getting the right staffing and getting the right number. I would say, I think we also would entertain come May, where that May meeting to look at numbers, and I think we'd all advocate for FinCom to help also with that. I see them in the room nodding, so I think everyone probably is in violent agreement that we need to fix this problem sooner than later.
Okay.
Did not realize we were not able to actually fix or do something tonight based on our last vote, so now it just seems, now it's a waiting game till May.
Your last vote was to approve an officer that met the definition of a swing shift, and that would have fit into your current appropriation.
But the union has a problem with that arrangement,
And-
correct?
Right. So.
In order for me to, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
In order, I consulted with some people that are familiar with unions, actually served in unions, and they said I could fight it. I could impact hiring for this position, but what that would take was, eventually it would go to arbitration, which is gonna take more time than come May anyways, and it would cost the town money in legal fees to fight it in arbitration. And I didn't think that was something that was worth pursuing, because it's not gonna solve our problem. We're still gonna be without the officer until arbitration, and I have no idea how long that takes.
And so, right, so we had approved for that position that the union had a problem with. Is there an ask that you can present to us that we can suggest hiring an officer that doesn't have to necessarily be that swing shift, that falls within the agreements and that helps level set your department now?
No,
Or,
because
or by doing that, that you believe that will impact your budget by spring?
it will,
Okay,
because it's not going to
Okay, thank you.
alleviate the overtime.
okay, that's what I wanted to make sure I understood. Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none.
All right, so I will, the new town administrator, I will I will get as much information as I can about how far we will fall off the cliff and what time that would be. And I will put together a couple of budgets and see for one officer extra or two officers extra and see what the general consensus is. Okay?
I do think if you could, the superintendent too, to see what the makeup is for a resource
out to
officer
Dan.
to add that as well. I wasn't sure if a resource officer reported to the superintendent, so it makes me feel better that it reports to the chief.
No, yeah, to the chief, yeah.
Just on that thought.
And I think Superintendent Riley had already had this on his radar for
He did.
the FY '27 budget as well, so.
Well, I don't know about that, I'm sorry, I don't know that specifically, but he had the general idea on his radar.
So we'll see you at town meeting for the presentation.
So, just a thought.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate, I can see the frustration on your face.
No idea.
No, I got a good idea.
Really don't.
But the idea, but what I'm hearing though is this is a longer-term, utterly predictable situation that hasn't been addressed before now. You put on a really good presentation that demonstrates where we are because we haven't been paying attention to where the ball is on the field. And now we can have that conversation come the next meeting. So, sure, I get it, you're frustrated, understandably so. It's a shame that the union doesn't, have the same level of vested interest as you do in getting the shift filled. And it's a shame that we've let the ball sit there so long to deal with a situation that we could totally see coming. So,
Thank you.
that's my 2 cents.
And you, I'd say to your union reps, if they would like to have a conversation with you all and the town, to figure out if there's some other arrangement that can be met. I know this board is certainly all ears to try to find something, because to say that on the one hand, we're up against a wall with our hands tied with fiscal policy set by Department of Revenue, and the other hand, a union contract that is supposed to be looking out for officer compensation and officer safety, but now it seems to be at odds with each other. I think everyone needs to give an inch here to find some middle ground. So you can certainly pass that along to your union reps, that this board is ready to try to work out something to make sure that you all have the staffing that keeps everyone safe, that we can work within. Like I said, you all outlined there were funds that could have been shifted around to help out with this problem, to stay within your budget. So I feel like most of the tools are here, and we have a willing and ready board to negotiate.
It's good to hear.
So if they would like to discuss how we can make sure that this department stays safe and well-staffed, we are ready to discuss.
All right, thank you, sir.
I have one other quick question. Can we negotiate in the contract period?
You could, both parties would have to agree to open the contract in order to do this. That's part of the problem.
We can?
Absolutely, but
So that's what they are
But-
looking for?
you have to keep in mind too, that they're gonna want something in return, which
Yeah.
is the way contract negotiations work, and you wanna make sure that what you're asking for, is which in this case, we believe would be in the best interest of the town, but what is the cost of that? And what would we be giving them in return?
They could ask anything
Sure.
apart from that position too.
I already know what they're asking, because we did a little in-department negotiation on this. to
Spying
try to-
on it?
Try to come in with an agreement so that we can get this done. And basically, they want to go to, for lack of a better word, a minimum manning of 3 officers a shift for officer safety.
Yeah, but
If we were to do that, it would negate the savings we would be getting from putting on that swing shift. So the
Okay.
finances don't come together.
And also, we cannot do it by now, we have to wait for the town meeting too.
But that's,
Even if-
that's what we're gonna propose it. You're proposing that at town meeting. So they're asking for what kind of the proposals that we're looking at.
Right.
Plus a resource officer. And we signed that union contract March 20th of 2024, so it's,
I believe it
it
goes up
stands till
2027.
27.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, to me, it feels like an excellent stopgap to be able to come up with a interim solution for the funds that we had previously said we were fine to spend, and then, if they seem in, essentially in lockstep with what you were mostly suggesting in your presentation, that we want to discuss at town meeting anyway. To me, that seems like we win up front, we get some better staffing levels, and then the union gets closer to what they want to see with what we're proposing in town meeting. So, again, like, obviously, that's a whole bunch of everyone jumping through the hoops in the right way to get there, but, you know, I think we're all rowing the same direction. We just need to figure out how we can come to some interim agreements in between.
If
But-
we were to receive the additional appropriation to our budget, the additional money, we wouldn't need to worry about the swing shift. We could put them into the framework that we have now. So it wouldn't even involve the union at that point.
Right, but because of the current budget constraints, we cannot do that until we get to
That time is
next.
running out because we were hoping to do it at a certain point, and the longer we wait, the more overtime we're spending, so the less money's available.
Right, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
all right, thank you, gentlemen.
Have a good night.
All right, we are way past our normal scheduled time, so I am gonna invite up, we are now moving into the section where we have interviews for an interim town administrator, and they were supposed to start at 6:15. We're just a little behind, but if you would like to come up and meet the board, I don't know, is anyone else outside?
I can go check. We have Nathan here.
No. I was guessing that's who you were, so that's why I looked in your direction.
Saw that.
I was like, it must be him.
Thank you, Madam Chair. May I approach the rostrum?
Yep.
I did bring you guys Nate, nice to meet you. Oh, you guys have copies of that? Thank you.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you for having me here this evening.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
How are you, sir? Nate, nice to meet you. How are you, sir? Nice to meet you. Thank you.
For the interview period, as chair, I'm going to invite just an extra person because he showed up today. So Mr. O'Day, would you like to sit next to Heather and you can be part of our interview process for the interim chair? Just because you're sitting there, and I figured I'd throw you in there.
Sure. Nice to see you.
We like to put Mr. O'Day to work since he lives in town.
That's right.
I am so honored. This is cool.
Representative O'Day was one of my favorite people to run into on the elevator at the State House.
Thank you.
So that was always.
I only ask him for money every other day, so that's how I work with Mr. O'Day. All right, so, as a starting point, introduce yourself, tell us a little about you, and I'm very sorry, we planned for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and went over.
That's okay. That's how we do. My name is Nathan Boudreau, and I really appreciate you having me here tonight. I am currently the town administrator of Hubbardston, Massachusetts, where I am transitioning out. I will not be speaking about that this evening due to respect for the organization, but I am soon going to be legally allowed to work and am seeking said work on an interim basis. I have recently started a company called Public Logic, and that is what I am hoping to be the vehicle to do stabilization efforts for myself. I have taken on a business partner in behavioral and organizational health, and we are working together. I have been the town administrator in the town of Hubbardston for the past 3 years, almost to the day, where we have purchased what will be a town office, fire department, police department. That I did look at this building when we were looking at the transition from a commercial property to a municipal property. Other than that, I've been in municipal government for 14, 15 years, 10 on the Gardner City Council, serving in a legislative capacity and working with constituents, and a little bit of a stop all over the place with some Marlborough work, some Princeton, Mass work, so I'm familiar with a number of the Wachusett region things that you have going on here, including Earth Day. I am very, very interested in stabilization. I believe that the municipal government as a whole is spending a lot of time looking backwards when we're not taking advantage of some clear abilities to stabilize, not by no means not just in West Boylston, but everywhere. So that's been a very interesting thing, and I appreciate you having me here, and I look forward to answering any questions from you or the honorable representative.
All right. I'll start if we want. David, do you want to start? We'll go around.
Sure. So in particular, this is a temporary role. Why the interest in the temp role?
I'm interested in a temp role because of, to be honest, with where my life is right now, I'm going to be available, and stabilization is really my thing. I am into efficiencies and modernization, but while modernizing and creating efficiencies over the last 5 years, I learned a variety of times that a lot of times when you're modernizing, the workflow doesn't break, your relationships break. So there is truly a need to document, because the institutional knowledge that we anticipate and expect our governments to operate on live within these people that are leaving. Like, I've been in multiple situations where I was holding institutional risk for an organization, institutional, just being the only person that knows something. How many times does a town clerk retire and you lose the whole show? And that's what I'm saying in that interim proposal, is that I would like to come in, look at what you guys have been through in the last year and a half, and say, all right, what needs to be stabilized, what needs to be documented, what decisions belong to whom, so that when a full-time permanent town administrator comes in, they can hit the ground running. This is not I'm not proposing that we point fingers, I'm not proposing that we yell or say that there's things wrong. I'm proposing that we back up a little bit and take a good, honest look at what is going on, what should be going on, and what the board wants to be happening in the future, whether it be on economic development, personnel. The police story right there sounds very, very familiar. I'm used to having 10 less police officers, but it's very, very familiar nonetheless. And no, I am qualified to aid in an interim fashion, and I have the time to do so. So when I saw the opportunity, I submitted.
All right. Vanessa?
Can you describe your management style when working with department heads who may be fatigued by change?
Yes. So I am transparency. It's really how I operate. I'll tell you now, I'm the same person here right now as I am to my grandmother, as I am to my wife. My wife hates it. My grandmother likes it. Selectboard's usually okay. But with staff, I will be transparent and make sure to know where the authorities lie. I don't want to step on anyone's toes, particularly as an interim that is looking to not create any more issues or change or fear in any staff members. My goal coming in would be stabilization almost right away. Let people know, like, this is how we're going to do this. This is going to be very open. Nothing is going to change. If anything were to change down the road, it would be at the discretion of the select board, and it will be brought to you in a very, very transparent and very, very early way. Because it would be my hope that when the permanent town administrator is hired, that they will again be able to hit the ground running and actually work on progressive things. There are so many town administrators and select boards that are being reactive. You don't need to be reactive. The rules are written down. Like, if we sit down and say, all right, this is the select board's authority, this is what this department can do, this is what that department can do, here's the law, and here's what we need to do. Things like public records requests go away. Things like accounts payable start moving faster, and you don't don't need assistance. And all of that is by documenting. And that's what I'm saying, is that by coming in as an interim and being a very, very modern town administrator, I think the aspects that I have where I can code my own programs in the office isn't always going to work because it's difficult to build systems from the inside out. But from an interim basis or a basis as a consultant, I can build full functioning systems that work for licensing, permitting, pretty much anything. My whole framework is to treat data as one thing, whether it's a dog license, a payment, or a certificate.
Switch over, does that answer your question?
Yep, thank you.
Mr. O'Day, do you have a question?
So, thanks for coming. Appreciate you being here this evening. So, did you have any knowledge that they were also looking here in town for a full-fledged new town manager?
I had assumed,
Okay.
but
You didn't see a posting?
I did not see a posting, and at this time, I'm only interested and available for an interim opportunity.
Okay,
If
so,
there were a time where, like what I told the chair, if the shoe fit, would I be willing to have a conversation about it? Possibly. We would have to see what kind of situation and how well it worked at the end of the interim period.
where'd you see the posting for the interim position?
The Telegram and Gazette, I saw that Heather had been awarded.
Oh, okay,
Congratulations, my
okay,
friend.
okay. Thanks.
Raj?
Sure.
Oh, sorry, I skipped over you. I went down the other end.
That's fine, go with Raj.
You want to ask? Go.
Go.
We're so polite.
I do have one question. How do you approach a disagreement in the board or outside the board with the select board member or one member or the collectively select board members?
Is it a fundamental disagreement in my morals or a disagreement as a professional town administrator?
Give an example for both.
If it is a example of a professional town administrator and three of you are leaning that way, I will support the board because the board is the elected executive of this community. If there were something moral, which I hope would never happen in a professional opportunity, but I know it does because being a town administrator is a real rough gig, but I would speak up. Like, I obviously would not have the authority to make a black and white decision, but if there was ever something that was really, really against either my professional or moral compass pointing due north, I would state that. At the end of the day, I would support and administer whatever was placed forward by the board, because the board is the voting and executive authority, but I would likely let my opinion be known ahead of the meeting and during the meeting. After that, you have to let go and move on if you want to continue working.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So I've heard you build out, you've talked about frameworks, resilient structures, systems. This is a day-to-day gig too, right? So I want to know, give me a case study on how you would apply your systemic thinking, how you build a system, and then apply it to a given situation in the last, you've experienced in, say, the last 3 years.
So what one of my pride kind of systems is we based it off of basically, how do I even say this? I don't know. This was a weird time period because I basically learned how to code and then put it all together. So, but one of the systems that I was able to modernize in Hubbardston was their accounts payable system. They did not have a assistant treasurer collector that was in charge of handling like the down and dirty part of accounts payable, so the pulling it all together, entering it into the financial system. But by utilizing Microsoft 365, my own coding abilities, and incorporating the law, I was able to create an in-house system only within Microsoft 365 that met all security parameters, and was able to send accounts payable through as if it was any other functioning asset, which is, I believe, where government is going. But you do need to have a serious conversation about what we are writing for policies, what we are writing for standard operating procedures, and how we connect them to the day-to-day. What you see in my proposal is I'm claiming sort of loud and sort of out into the open that we're missing a whole layer. Like, there is tech, there is governance, there is compliance. We're missing a whole part that ties that together. And it's been held together by town administrators, town clerks, DPW directors, police chiefs for the last 100 years. And I don't think people are going to want to work in municipal government for 100 years if we keep asking them to hold institutional knowledge and institutional risk. That's something that I believe in a 3 to 6 month interim term, I could present you a really rock solid report and set of documents on, and leave you on a very, very functional footing for whomever the permanent town administrator ended up being for the awesome town of West Boylston.
So, but I hear that, I appreciate that, trust me, I got it. I guess what I'm looking for though is, can you give me a scenario under which you've taken what you've just told us you can do and walk me through it? So you walk in day one, this is the situation I've walked into, this is how I implemented everything, and this was the end result. It's okay if you can say, no, it's...
No, I 100% can. It's taking what is, like, it's just, I knew someone was gonna ask me this too.
I'm very predictable like that.
One of the processes that I am really going through right now, I wasn't able to fully roll it out in Hubbardston. There is no sense to municipal HR. Like, there really should be a way that you know when you're coming in, you know when you're onboarding. So I created a module. This is not a module that I would ever set out without select board approval, without anything. It runs all of HR. They get the email, they fill out the paper, it goes through, it dings the executive assistant, it dings the town administrator, it dings the select board chair, moves its way through. It's following all of the rules and laws. It's sending out query requests. It's making sure every document is labeled with its records request retention time, because it is also my belief as a former town clerk that people shouldn't have to focus time on throwing away documents. I'm not the biggest paper fan, so it kills me to have to go to Staples and print that for you guys, but I did it anyway. But long story short, if we tie the governance and compliance structure to the very, very written and documented rules that we have to follow in government, we can do it faster. And this has been right for a long time, but what's going to make it even more correct now is that AI is not going to make anything different. It's going to make everything faster. So suddenly, instead of just getting one license here or one C-click fix request, that's another one. I could do a C-click fix, like a DPW maintenance request system, in under a day. And those are the type of systems that really do make a difference for a transforming community, especially one with the economic development opportunities of being a stone's throw away from the second largest community in the state. So there are a variety of ways to look at things. That's why my packet doesn't look like a traditional applicant's packet, because I am interested in seeing where this goes. I have my patents, but that is not what I am looking to do full-time. I am a municipal manager. I am passionate about public service, and the day-to-day operations are kind of my bag. Like, what I do outside of that is a passion project and something I hope will be beneficial for me in the long run, but this is the first time I'm even talking about it outside of my jammies.
Got it, thank you.
Leaving me, it's funny you're saying this. 4 years ago, I remember Pat Crowley saying to us about doing battle books at almost every meeting, and it was for the exact reason we sat in. Every time someone left, we start over. No one has job descriptions, or they changed, or our chapter from 1995 special act that I thought was gospel that's online actually has multiple amendments that went through the State House and were approved, but they never made it to what we have posted as our special act. I would say for the town of West Boylston, I'm not speaking for any of you, but I think we have we're a small town, but everything's happening at once. We have feasibility for fire DPW, we have trucks that we need, we have schools that we need. We're learning processes through applying for certain grants we haven't done before. We have needs in our parks. We have needs at our town hall, and, you saw tonight, our police department, and, sometimes I forget we're one small town in Massachusetts, and I assume, if we yell the loudest, we'll get the most money from the state. But we seem to need everything at once. It seems like everything got old very quickly, and we're in a battle to replace it. It doesn't change the day-to-day job where you are a manager, you're dealing with employee complaints, town complaints, potholes, mailboxes. How does a day in the life of a town administrator with all of these competing priorities, how do you prioritize something like that? Besides coming to the select board because we all believe every priority is the most important priority, how would you approach that?
Knowing why a select board brings in a town administrator, and notably the select board salaries in Massachusetts, I would hope to be able to handle a lot of the day-to-day operations on my own. Anything that would be under the parameters of the select board in terms of authority would be brought either directly to the chair as an individual or the board as a whole through a memo or email. I am going to admit that previously in my career I've been pretty memo document heavy, but I'm working on that. So I will be making sure that communication is streamlined, and that would be my plan during the interim, would be to send streamlined communications, letting exactly what is going on, having really early conversations about, hey, how's your department doing? What have you been doing? What's working? What's not working? How annoying is X? Like how bad is the conflict of interest stuff? How bad is the public records requests? How slow are we when we're doing onboarding? How nervous are you that you're gonna get paid every time? Because I've realized that a lot of those payroll systems are not as rock solid as they should be. So there's a lot of worry, there's a lot of carrying institutional knowledge in people that should just be doing their job and going home for the holiday. And that would be my point as an interim, is to sit down and really map out what should be happening, what is happening, what's not happening, and whose responsibility that is. Not to point fingers, but to get it mapped out and create a digital version of a battle book. I hope I hope it would be cooler than that.
Do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, just one quick question, I guess. Is this proposal, are you presenting on behalf of Nathan Boudreau as an individual, or are you presenting as a principal of an LLC?
I'm presenting as a principal of an LLC, and I, as an individual, would accept the appointment. The LLC would be a vehicle for that.
Got it, thank you.
Sorry, I gave my booklet to Mr. O'Day. Can I see yours real quick? Is this it? Okay, sorry. I had one question, just I understand as part of the LLC, is the compensation being requested monthly, is that you as an individual or you as an individual?
Should we decide to go that route, I am willing to have a conversation. Like, it's not what's written on there. That is,
I was looking at the proposal, if it was a proposal for a community hiring a company to redo this. which makes sense for like a SaaS solution, but looking at the price of an interim town administrator, I'm pretty sure I would be beheaded at that price. And I see Heather nodding, but I'm thinking just for the public. So in the monthly professional services retainer, it's $12,000 and $9,500 a month as an option to reduce scope.
And I do want to notice that while I follow a SaaS model, what I've been referring to it as, because I'm slick, is frameworks as a standard, FAS. So it is, the Public Logic, myself, what I do is not technological. I have technological partners and I have technological skills, but what I do is governance.
Okay.
It's a governance layer that ensures that the people, technology, and systems are all following the same map.
Can I ask
we-
a follow-up?
Go for it.
Just in regards to, just for transparency purposes and anybody in the audience, can you just explain the difference between the LLC versus individual in terms of how this would work?
A LLC is a limited liability corporation, and I have had mine for about 3 weeks. So my idea and thought process here is to do the same thing that a lot of the traditional consultants are doing, the regional resource groups, the community paradigms, there's a million of them, but no one has ever sat down and said, you know what, the administration of a community is an asset that needs to be protected. It is institutional knowledge, it is institutional risk, it is something that deserves to be kept and maintained with the town. And that's where you have to write it down. And with that, I felt like there was more of an opportunity for me to, as an interim, come in and say, here, this is finite, this is what we're doing, and this is where the approval comes from to do so. These are our deliverables at the end, and we'll see where this goes then. Like, 3 town administrators in a year isn't pointing to a real issue other than documentation and making sure that everyone is doing what they're supposed to be doing and only what they're supposed to be doing, and then reevaluating from there.
Just to clarify, because I did get to read that beautiful article, we haven't had 3 in a year, or as it said, 4 in a year. For me, those were kind of my questions. I feel bad just because we're running so short on time and I know someone else is waiting. Do you have questions for us? Oh,
I do have
Go
one. How old your company is? AA company, this Public Logic is an AA company,
3
right?
weeks.
Yeah, I've been at my company for about 3 weeks. I received the conflict of interest approval and all of that stuff from the Hubbardston Select Board in June. So after that, I began putting it together, and it takes some time.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I'll open it to you. Further questions for us? Don't feel like you have to. I know you've been sitting here a long time, so you probably heard a lot of it.
So what I'm offering is professional stability without pressure. I do not want to bring pressure into an interim role. I want to find pressure points. What would be sort of a 30-day goal for this interim town administrator, if you could name one, and how long of an interim are you looking for? Because in my mind, I thought if we went from January to June, that'd be clean. As the interim could finish the fiscal year, the town administrator search committee would not be rushed, and it would allow the community to really focus on FY27 and making sure that things are lined up before taking the next step. But that is my question, is what you are looking for in the first, say, 30 days of an interim candidate, and how long in a perfect world would this interim stint be if it was truly an interim stabilization opportunity?
I'm happy to answer unless someone else wants to interject.
I can speak for the how long. We are in the process of looking for a full-time or interviewing full-time town administrator. We don't know. It is uncertain. So nobody can guess it. That's where I will leave it.
I'll give you my personal, I think an interim role to give the search committee enough time to vet candidates. I know we had a large pool, I heard, that applied for the position pretty quickly, but check references, and also I'm guessing a lot of these are already sitting town administrators that need to give 3 to 6 months. I'm thinking anywhere from probably 6 months to 8 months, depending on what their availability is when the search committee brings it forward after the holidays. I would say for me personally, number one is they need to figure out the budget. That's the most important thing. We have town meeting coming. Number two is trash. We have a trash enterprise account and need barrels and billing, and I don't even know, we need things, because the community, almost daily I'm asked where the barrels are and how much they're gonna be paying a month. So
Who's your trash vendor?
we have I don't know, we're the enterprise now, but we have waste management. I don't know.
We have Republic.
Republic.
Because I just did a whole RFP period for a tri-town deal. Casella looks like they're going to be getting it, but I do have a decent
Both.
amount of,
Republic as well as Casella, so they transfer it to the Casella and take it to them.
and what you said, Earth Day, I do have a relationship with them already, so I would be able to.
We didn't do an RFP, the Poor SWAT group.
Yeah, you don't need to.
They did the RFP process and a lot of work along with Heather. So I'd say for me, it would be those. And the third one is, I think the school building committee is gonna have a proposal to submit something to the state to ask for, I don't know if it's a new school or a project or something. So for me, those, and four would be, we also have a feasibility study happening right now for fire and DPW, 4 very small things. And then to survive town meeting. Seems reasonable. Go ahead, do you have?
Yeah, so no, I mean, I think, as you heard from the chair and the others on the committee, on the board, the town has a lot going on, and I'm just wanting to make certain that you as an individual, right, and not the LLC per se, would be the party, you know, you're taking on a lot, obviously, right? The responsibility of what gets done or doesn't get done.
Would be my name, Nathan Boudreau. Not the LLC would bill, and would be able to make proposals to go in different directions, none of which would be presented as an addition to any of this. Just I would be lying if I said I wasn't trying to start a municipal consulting firm.
Yeah, no,
Like, I'm in a very honest position right now. Like, I have the opportunity, I'd be willing to take whatever was needed and commit to it, and, like, that's really.
Sort of along the lines of what would be expected to sort of dovetail into what Chair had noted. Essentially, anyone walking into this position would by nature have to do a lot of mental mapping, as you've pointed out, on the way things are laid out. Are you proposing essentially as sort of like a self-goal, if someone phrased it that way, that a deliverable of your services, if we chose to put you in this temporary position, would be that there would be some type of documentation that you would then have to hand off for the next one, that this is a product that you essentially,
absolutely.
you essentially have a product handed off to us in the end that for the next person. So it essentially is a stabilization of the current operations with a focus on budget, trash, school, and the feasibility studies. And then for the long term, there's essentially a runway for the next person coming in that to get them up to speed faster. That's sort of your
So my plan and my goal with these is to create a situation where no one really has to ever be brought up to speed again. Because we should be able to be progressive in our municipal governance. But if you check here what I tell the select board that I would do as a deliverable, at the conclusion of the engagement, the town will receive a stable and predictable operating government, documented workflows with clear authority paths and decision structure, governed records capturing institutional memory and process knowledge, continuity materials for key administrative functions, operational summary identifying workflow improvements and low-risk modernization opportunities, clean transitional package for permanent leadership. So that would be my intent to hand over, whether the permanent was somebody completely unrelated or somebody in this room. And it would be my goal to have a 3 to 5 year map included in there of what the most meaningful and most beneficial steps would be for the community. Not what saves the most money, not what is really going to upset the staff, not what's going to keep the boat steady. It's what is going to be the best and most meaningful action for the community, for the organization. And I can say that because when you are interviewing for an interim capacity, you don't need to politic. So my goal would be to come in and document, be a nice person and work with the staff that you already have. The people that work in these municipalities are the salt of the earth. They work very, very hard and they're expected to do more with less every single year without anybody trying to say, hey, you know what, we could do this a little different. Well, I'm sick of that. And that's not what I'm doing. If this isn't a town that would be interested in that kind of structure, then you got 2 candidates after me. But I am very interested in helping in this situation. I believe we would be able to hit the ground running. I have the opportunity, and this is a real shot in the dark, but if I wouldn't have taken it, I would have regretted it. So, with that, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, and sorry we're running late. I think we do have someone else here. If you have any questions, please follow up with us, and I'll let you be free. Heather, I have one question. I know thank you for coming.
Thank you.
How much, do you have a presentation?
I have like a short, maybe 5-minute introduction to give some background on the grant, and what you'll be voting on the intermunicipal agreement, and then opportunity for questions. So I think it's probably more led by how many questions you anticipate.
I'm thinking this next section will be another 30 to 40 minutes. Can you wait, or do you want to, I mean, I imagine you have more of a life than I do. I'm happy because I have bread here, but you don't have it.
It's up to your decision. I'm happy to do what works best for the board tonight.
Can we ask the gentleman out there if he would mind if we took her first? I feel bad we're already an hour late, so. No, you cannot have the bread, but you made it for me.
It was not for one person, it was for the board.
You can have one,
Let the
please.
record show.
There's not enough.
Please proceed with the board.
Oh, thank you so much. Come on up, and I'm sorry.
Oh, not at all. I appreciate you moving things around.
All right, so, all right, we're gonna make it sweet and easy and less painful. I'm gonna knock on wood, all right? You know, last words, Jim last, but it's last words, okay? Jim will keep us in line, because now he's sitting at that table for the rest of the night.
I don't have a gavel like you though.
Here, no, listen, I just got mine back, you want it? All right, go ahead.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me tonight. So my name is Annette Garcia. I'm the new health director that's serving we're officially named the Central Mass Regional Health Department. So we serve West Boylston, Grafton, and Shrewsbury. I started back in August. So thank you for having me tonight. I'm before the board today to ask for your acceptance of our intermunicipal agreement for the Public Health for Shared Services grant. So a little context on what this grant is and where it came from. So in July of this year, the towns of West Boylston, Grafton, and Shrewsbury joined together in a shared services arrangement under the Public Health Excellence Grant Program. This is a state-funded program which aims at strengthening public health workforce, meeting established performance standards, expanding capacity, and delivering more equitable public health services for all communities in Massachusetts. Currently, 322 communities in Massachusetts participate in the grant program across 56 unique shared service arrangements. One of the requirements of this grant is that we establish a shared services structure underneath this intermunicipal agreement. So a little bit about some of the increased programming we've already been able to offer our partner communities. We've increased our inspectional coverage to conduct weekend inspections for temporary events for food vendors. We've provided after-hour and weekend response for hoarding and other housing concerns. We've increased our community programming, which includes attendance at health fairs and participation in educational initiatives. And we've increased our cross-departmental collaboration, including, we actually just held yesterday an emergency response tabletop exercise with our police and fire partners. So this grant is funded for fiscal year 26 and 27. While these dollars aren't necessarily guaranteed past that, one of our priorities is really looking at the sustainability of the collaborative. There's a lot of efforts at the state to make sure that this funding remains so that we can continue the great work. But internally, we're looking at alternative grant and funding streams to make sure that we can maintain our staff. So a little bit just key components of this agreement. One, it sets up our structure and governance. So we're governed by an advisory board, which guides our priorities, budgets, policies, and provides program oversight. Each of our participating boards of health appoints one voting member to the advisory board, and will meet on a quarterly basis. It establishes our shared service program, which enables cross-jurisdictional work by our public health agents, nurses, and other shared staff, while maintaining our local Board of Health autonomy. So no responsibilities of your Board of Health will change. It outlines funding and financial protections. So I mentioned this is through the multi-year Public Health Excellence Grant. If fundings end, municipalities may decide to contribute local funds, but participation is not automatically required. It will need to go through your normal appropriation procedures. It also outlines clear structure for adding communities to our collaborative, withdrawing or terminating participation. So it just clearly outlines those timeframes and who's responsible for making those decisions within your municipality. So I think that covers the main portions, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
So I think you answered a lot of my questions, and due to a phone call and email, I got to dig in to figure out some of these answers. Just to restate the concern, some of the questions I got was, are we signing up for 25 years with no way to get out of this, and how are we gonna fund this? It sounds like we're funded for 2 years. After that, we would go to town meeting or look to appropriate funds.
Possibly.
Sorry.
There's the possibility that this grant will continue beyond fiscal year 27. Like I said, there's a lot of strong support from the state, the Massachusetts Department of Public Health, to ensure that these programs continue on. So we're just in that contract through fiscal year 27, and we fully intend to apply if there are additional funding years. But outside of that, yes, it would be up to individual municipality discretion.
Anyone else have a question?
I just want to say, first of all, welcome, but I think it's great that you've done so many additional things, such a short period of time, and just if you ever need anything from the select board, we're here.
Thank you. Awesome.
Are we the first town to approve, or Shrewsbury and Grafton already approved it?
So all 3 boards of health have already approved and signed this agreement. The Shrewsbury Select Board has approved, and the Grafton Select Board meeting is January. So you'll be the 2nd Select Board, but 5th approver.
We are almost first. And I'm guessing for our Board of Health, everyone on the Board of Health is good with it and happy, and Bob would let us know if they weren't, or Mary Beth would let us
Unanimously
know. So
approved it
good?
during their
Okay.
meeting.
I think, there's one of our members that is not able to be here, but we are here specifically in support of Ms. Garcia and the great work that they've already done already.
All right.
Let the record show that the Board of Health is supportive.
All right. I have no questions because I had to read it and reply to an email, so I feel very versed in this. But you did get a lot of support from everyone that replied back to me saying this is going well, so I thank you for what you're doing, and please keep doing it. No other questions? I'd entertain a motion to approve the contract that is somewhere in the pile of papers I have.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Heather, anything else I need to say? Nope.
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, and we
so
did this in a very short period of time. I'm sorry, guys.
I appreciate it.
Now I would offer you bread, but I don't have much left. I had to share parts of it with the board.
never yours.
I don't want to argue
Let the record
about
show
it
the
right
bread
now.
was for the entire board.
He's never handing me another thing at this time. All right. If Mr. Carter is outside, you are more than welcome to come, and we have to figure out this signing thing. This is crazy. We're ready. I mean, we're on a roll now. Thank you, sir. Please come up into the hot seat. We're running just a few minutes behind schedule. But
Thank you for having me.
you're welcome. Thank you for coming. And
Thank
You
you for your
know-
patience.
I thought the first one, we were going to be kind of quick. My gavel? Yes.
Your resume?
I don't think we have them printed.
Oh, okay.
Did I? Oh, hold on a second.
No, I can get it.
I think I did not print it, but did you guys all have it?
Digitally.
Yeah, I was going to say, I did send it. It's in the packet. Could we print one?
Yeah, I certainly can.
Sorry. Printing this would have been a better, would you like, I'm going to be nice and offer you a slice of this because it's not mine. David's wife made it for, I guess, everyone here to share.
That's correct.
You've had 3.
I've had 2.
This will be your 3rd. I'm trying to help you. All right. All right, why don't you introduce yourself to us? And in that time, Mr. O'Day, we have asked him to sit up here because we like to put him to work anytime he shows up at the town hall. And we like to ask him for money every other day. I sent him an email for money. But it's always I always ask for money. They're small amounts. They're like $1 million or $2 million. I feel like it's somewhere in the State House. All right, so.
Depends on what time of the budget cycle you're in.
You know, he keeps giving this excuse, but I think it's just money somewhere that he could give us.
Thank you for having me. My name's Carter Terenzini. You have my resume, so I'm not going to go into great detail on that. I want to share with you a little bit about my passion for public service and why, after retiring, I'm back at it again. I actually started stumping door to door, handing out flyers for a presidential candidate in 1960. I went to work with the city of Pittsfield in my early 20s and have had the good fortune to be involved in government, affordable housing, economic renewal throughout the vast majority of my career. I've also had the great fortune to take on jobs that were not coasting. I'm one of those people that was once referred to as a fixer. I do better when there are challenges, and as you can see, some of the communities I've been with, Spencer, Grafton, Templeton. I think if you know those communities, you know some of the challenges that we face and help them through. I did in 15 decide to retire. The Board of Selectmen had gotten to 3-2. First, and I'm not going to explain how that, I had a contract ahead of me, but it was going to be a long year and I just couldn't put myself and the staff through it. So I retired and I went paddling for the summer and hiking for the summer, but by September, frankly, I was bored to tears. So I had an opportunity to go to help New Durham, New Hampshire, and then down to Templeton, and you've seen the resume since then. I no longer can overcome the center of gravity as well as I'd like to get in and out of the kayak. And the right knee just does not want to seem to cooperate with the left knee for a good hiking session. And I've had good fortune in doing this. You know, it's actually worked out pretty well. I've had these lovely breaks in between, and Molten Borough ended up just in time for me to take my residency at Oxford this summer. So when, through a connection on one of the professional networks, I learned of this opportunity, having had some limited familiarity, going back to when Town Hall was in the old grammar school, and people actually would cover their computers at night with polyethylene tents, thanks to the roof condition. I thought I would see if I might be able to be of some help to you over these coming months.
Thank you so much. I will start with Mr. Ashwell.
Could you please tell us why you're interested in this position, and specifically as a temporary role as opposed to a full-time, which I think you elaborate some on.
Well, first, in order to become a candidate in any community for permanent, I think you need to be able to offer minimum 3 to 5 year commitment to them. And I'm not that at this point in my life. I spent 6 weeks with, an Oxford residency and touring, if you're fans of BritBox, all the locations of Poldark and Endeavor, and I won't prattle on about that. So I'm not interested in going back to work full-time. Also, I do not believe that interim should ever be candidates for the permanent position. Either they soft pedal it because they're so afraid they're gonna screw things up, or they come in really hard because they want to impress you with how terrific they are. And then what happens, it happened to a good friend of mine, is people see that the interim's a candidate for the permanent, and it kind of, chills the pool, if you will. This is what I do, this is what I enjoy, I know this geographic area, and that's why I thought I might be a reasonable fit for you all.
Thank you.
All right. Can you describe your management style when working with department heads who may be fatigued by change?
Well, I'm one of the guys who rebelled when, they came out with new Coke, so I understand this whole anti-change thing. I'm much better at imposing it than actually. I haven't even figured out why they changed the how you end the alarm clock on the new iPhone software update in the last month or so. I think first, it's issues of personality. Why was that change being made? What are the issues in getting through to that change? You have to do it in a collaborative fashion. The town of Spencer increased its contribution by retirees to health insurance from 10% to 40%. 1 percentage point a year. 1 percentage point a year, because we knew that people would rebel and we'd never get it through. So, you want to do something. Does it have to be January 1? Are there interim things you could do? Maybe it's July 1. So I work with staff in collaboration. I had an issue in Molten Borough. I said, I want to do this. And they said, nope, that's not a good idea. And I said, well, what's your idea? And we talked it through. I essentially got what I wanted done in a manner that all of the staff was comfortable with. So, I need to make sure that I understand what their concerns are. We have to explore all reasonable avenues of addressing those concerns. We work something out collaboratively. I try to make sure that their viewpoint gets through to the board. But at the end of the day, it's my name on the memo. A police chief of mine once said, told his union employees that we're not here to practice democracy, we're here to defend it. So, we've got to work together on these things. And I think, with more time, I could give you numerous examples of how we've done that. but it is a collaborative effort.
Thank you. Mr. O'Day?
Sure. So,
How big are the checks he brings you?
they're
He
big.
actually does pretty well by us. I think he's four in the last 4 years I've been here for at least $150,000 each. He does well by us.
Which isn't to say that he couldn't do some more.
I did just ask for 1.7 million. I thought he would say yes to that, but
You're looking for a nice fire truck.
I
too.
am tempting.
So when you come in as an interim individual in these positions, I know you certainly are going to go to the board and try to figure out what the priorities are of the board. I'm sure you have goals and objectives of your own as a manager as to how you're going to deal with those priorities, some of which you may have dealt with in other positions. But in any of these most recent individual administrators that you've been through, where have you really come up against it, where there's been real difficulties within the board structure or within the community, that even though you're in an interim role, how have you had to really kind of dig in and get that particular community out of that scenario and back on track, and still manage to be able to deal with your goals and objectives and also those of the board?
My goals and objectives are the goals and objectives of the board. We need to be clear about that. I work for them. I may develop the gameplay as to how we move the ball, how we get that done, but my priorities are there. I have been extremely fortunate in having very supportive boards. Let me give you two quick examples to the extent that I can. When I went into Templeton, they had not had an audit in 4 years.
They had not had,
An audit in
Okay.
4 years. We had no clue the condition of the books. And we finally got an auditor come in, and he kept talking to me about how the town had done this illegally, and the town had done this illegally, and the inspector general was gonna be worried about this. And in a meeting with DOR, I said to him, I almost slipped and said DRA, which are friends to the north. I said, I don't care. What are you, Teflon Carter? I said, no. Our objective has to be to get the books straight, Tony. That is it. And that was fine. So that was sort of the only toe-to-toe I had in that instance. The other toe-to-toe that that was more with DOR and with the auditors than with the board. Extremely supportive. They hired me for 4 months. I was there 4 years and 4 months. The other most recent one is with our friends in Lunenburg. I was charged with them about addressing morale, turnover, and filling the vacancies. And we held several listening sessions. I heard what the employees had to say, and I put together an interim package of changes to the personnel plan that the employees wanted, changes to procedure and how, if you booked a hotel or went to a hardware store and bought a piece of rope, you had to give the accountant a copy of your charge card, a full copy of your charge bill with everything else redacted, and a copy of the receipt, 6 to 8 weeks to get your money back. We changed that. So where the set to came to be two things. Number one, my contract in Lunenburg allowed me to go do other things. My town of Moultonborough asked me to step in as interim. I did. I took 2 jobs, did them at the same time. Same as when I did Grafton and Templeton at the same time. And I was accused by 2 board members of moving too fast. You told me to fix the staff morale, and the staff's not gonna sit around for another 6 months, 8 months, or 9 months while you chew on all this. The fall town meeting did pass those changes. My contract was extended, and if you call Tom Alonso or the other members, I think they will tell you that while we crossed swords, in the end, I did a good job for them, despite our ability to gnaw on a bone a little bit.
Thank you.
All right, skipping Jay. Rod, do you have a question?
What worries you most to come to West Boylston at this time?
You don't have an admin assistant at this point. I'm stepping into a community where I don't have someone that can, A, do the supportive kinds of things. You know, if I had to take my exams on a typewriter instead of writing, I'd lose 25% of my time immediately, because that's not me, I'm old school. But I don't have somebody that can tell me where this is buried, where that's buried. Sure, here's our book with all of the contracts. Yep, here's our book with all the collective bargaining agreements. Here's the file on this litigation, that litigation. So not only do I not have someone here, 4 or 5 days to be supportive, my plan would be to be here 3 days a week. That's normally what I do. But I don't have someone to pass off the institutional knowledge. And is this first office the executive assistant to the select board and the town administrator?
Yes.
Well, yeah,
And how far away is the town administrator?
right there. Oh,
Immediately adjacent?
Yeah.
Well,
We'll
there's
just
a
meet it.
conference room space in between.
Is that bad?
To me, it is.
The doors are usually open between the two, so it's essentially one large office if that.
Well, what I'm saying is, there's no way to really step in immediately and get going immediately. The lack of an administrative executive assistant is of some concern to me and would have to be addressed immediately. Whether it's done with a part-time staffing, it's done with
I
kicking
think we
someone
do.
else.
I think we do have part-time staffing.
We do. Okay. We do,
We do have part-time staffing.
but we would
With
be,
due respect, I don't believe it's sufficient for what your interim is stepping into. That is my major concern.
Okay, thank you.
okay, well, there goes.
Yeah, well, following along with that line of thought, because Christina skipped me in the last interview, so she went to Raj, and then Raj just ate my lunch, so I gotta come up with something else. You've done your homework, you know the town, you know what's going on. What are you walking into?
From my perspective,
Yeah, tell me what you're walking into, why, what you're gonna do about it.
trying to figure out how to say that without it
Well,
seeming
You've been
disrespectful.
really clear to this point.
Yep.
I'm walking into a great opportunity to assist a small town in trouble and coming out looking like a rose on the other end with one more notch in my belt. Plus,
That's very confident. Sorry. I was very confident in
plus my banker's always very interested when I, make sure there's extra dollars going into the account. But truthfully, other than a 2-week, jazz cruise that I've been hitting the return button on for 5 years now, trying to get into, and finally at 12:00-something a.m. I got into it. I don't have anything on the calendar, and I'm looking to stay busy, and I believe this is a community that I could be of some assistance to. That's what I get out of it. It sounds silly, but I get enjoyment about helping communities succeed.
And I appreciate that, and I think what I wanted to ask is, from your 30,000-foot view, looking down, what are the issues? What are you dealing with when you walk in that door? That you're gonna need that executive assistant to tell you where the bodies are buried and...
In New Hampshire, we actually have a legal responsibility to supply the cemeteries. And we're running out of space, so where the bodies are buried is always of great import. I don't know your financial situation. From a very brief look, I suspect you are under the same kind of stress as everyone else, particularly being in a regional school district. I mean, one of the things I loved in Grafton and Lunenburg was I was able to say, that's your budget. we're getting 150,000 this, or 1.5 million this year. You're 53% of our budget, there's your revenue.
We're looking into regionalization.
But you are
Because-
regionalized at the high school level, aren't you?
No, they're posting and
Clearly, I haven't
like
done
it.
my homework as well as I should have.
That's boils.
They want it, because the belief is that it will
Money,
be more inexpensive.
Physical plant. Templeton has 8,000 people and runs its police department with 10. Grafton has 18,000 people and runs its department with 20. Spencer has 12,000 people and runs its police department with 18. I think that the biggest challenge here is to look at those educational costs, look at your building costs, and take a long-term global view. You know, someone walked into my office one time and they sat down in my chair and I sat over there and the guy started talking. I said, you need to understand that that chair, pointing to my desk here, is the one where the person says no. So if you'd like a different answer, you need to get out of my chair. I still said no. But I mean, the thing is, we are under great stress where we are expected at the local level. And the interesting thing is the local level of government is the one where people have the greatest ability to leverage control over it and the greatest direct interest, and yet it is the level of government at which they are least active in. You know, I don't know your numbers, but many communities at the polls are 6 to 10% of the people, maybe a little bit more, showing up if there's a school issue, override, debt exclusion. And at a town meeting, they're on the 4 to 5% level. So I think that the greatest challenge is really taking that global view and having a strategy that interlinks everything that you're doing. You know, in local government, we're not necessarily good about creating synergies. You know, in one community, the water department does the billing, and then they would hand the file to the sewer department, and then the sewer department would create bills and mail them out. And when I got to, why isn't this one bill? Oh, well, no, two people do that. So I think that in the short term, getting you through a budget that's realistic and sets the stake for your long-term hire is the most important thing that I'm hopeful I could offer to you.
Well, that's a good lead into mine. So, being a small town with a lot of needs, everything has hit us at once. Buildings, vehicles, staffing. We joke and say trash has really hit us, but you know, the cost of trash and tipping, we knew it was coming 4 years ago when I started. When I started to see contracts, I said, wow, they're coming in 10% higher than they ever did before. Everyone said, don't worry, that's not gonna be us. I think it was actually more than 10%, it was around like 15. We have a lot of priorities here and a lot of great boards, but it's almost, we're fighting each other because everyone believes the priorities are important. For me personally, I think the top priorities of someone coming in for an interim position is, number one is finances. We have town meeting coming up, where are we at, what do we need to know, what is called out? We saw some numbers Heather and staff produced. I think it was the last meeting we went through and the meeting before that. How does that look with, we just had a request for additional officers heading into town meeting. We all seem to be very adamant that that is something we need to fix. But we also have fire and DPW feasibility study happening as we speak. We have, I'll bring up the cemetery as well. Cemetery's running out of spaces and we need room there. The school, we're looking to put in another, I'm gonna mess it up, MSBA letter to request funding for a new school, or something needs to be done in our schools. We also, I did just, I think, email everybody that I could find an email for asking, you know, we have a 30-year-old ladder truck and it's been out of commission 3 months. We have one, it's over 30 years old, and no one here drives a 30-year-old car. And it's $1 million to replace. So we have all of these things happening at once. So an interim, when someone said to me, well, you bring someone in and they would just sit there until a new person showed up, this wouldn't be something where you'd get the luxury of showing up and saying, everybody, just keep doing what you're doing. And when you have a new person here, we'll get those handled. This is something day one. Tomorrow, there will be an email. Tomorrow, there'll be a request. How do you feel about that? Is that something that you're willing to take
Well,
on?
If this was Lennox or Williamstown, I wouldn't be interested, frankly. I mean, if that's, okay, all you gotta do is prop your feet up and drink Americanos all day. Frankly, I wouldn't be interested. But there's a concept, whether you wanna look at it from the military view of if you defend everything, you defend nothing.
Yep.
Sun Tzu's Art of War boiled down to if you attack everywhere, you're attacking nothing. So you're gonna have to pick some priorities, and you're gonna have to pick what those priorities are first and foremost. In Templeton, it was getting those audits done.
Yep.
Because without sound financial records, I couldn't do anything. There was absolutely nothing I could do. In Boxborough, my priority ended up being getting the colonoscopy from the FBI because there were a lot of problems in their police department. So when the chair said, we got a few problems with our police department, I gotta say, Madam Chair, if you tell me you got a few problems, we might have to have a little deeper conversation. Because the FBI, the IG, and the ethics spent a lot of time. All good people.
We don't have those problems.
We would have,
We do not have those problems.
excellent, good to hear. But we would have to have a serious conversation about strategically what is the most important thing to get done that then sets the table for the next thing. And there might be 2 or 3. And for this interim administrator, your school might not be it. It might be something else. And we'd have to have that, what are your priorities, work with the staff, then we would develop that strategy. But when I stepped into Molten Borough in mid-October, it was real clear, budget. Our town meeting up there is in March. Has to go to public hearing by mid-January. So we'd have to have that conversation. But please, feel free to talk with the other people I've worked with. And they will tell you that one of my strengths is knowing how to parse these different things and keep them moving in a manner that makes some sense. But you cannot tackle everything at once.
Go.
So we have one important issue need to be taken care of before the town meeting, which is our town administrator, she did set up a sewer enterprise account. We do need to.
Solid waste.
So, I'm sorry. I'm thinking sewer. Solid waste enterprise account, just the account, town meeting approved. So we do need to make that functioning. Next town meeting, we should be getting all these things in line.
If you have good financial records and you're actually covering the cost of your disposal, it really shouldn't be that difficult.
Have you had any experience in that line?
My first venture in public service was creating the Berkshire Bennington County's 13 community nonprofit recycling organization, back when most people thought of it as little old ladies in tennis sneakers and tennis shorts. I put out to bid, achieving a 35% savings, and I know you've recently gone out to bid with 3 communities in Michigan for curbside. We went to converted pay-as-you-throw in Spencer, something that had been tried well over 15 years. I think I still have a picture of the garbage can where I was dumped in effigy by somebody. And in one community, I advocated going out of the business because it is the one service you offer that can be completely and wholly replaced by the private sector. And often in today's world, a cost that is not that different than your own costs. And if you have money problems and you provide even $1 subsidy, you need to look at it all. So my approach is to step back, try to get all of the information, look at all of the options, and bring those before you for your final decision. Let me say that when we converted to there's nothing that turns people out like trash and garbage. And when we converted the Spencer pay-as-you-throw system, we had over 1,300 people. There was 300 people that forced a special town meeting to vote on that and several other issues. We had over 1,300 people show up. Thank God I had a very cooperative fire chief at Little Problem County, so we got through the night meeting the occupancy code all the way through. And 2/3 of the community supported us because we'd laid the case out and they understood why it had to happen. I am the guy in Molten Borough. We were the only community that ran a fire tower. Forest fires. Over $75,000 a year when this was being done. I'm the guy that eliminated that. We ran the only visiting nurse service in the state of New Hampshire, costing us $250,000 a year. I'm the guy that shut that down and merged it into what is now considered a adjoining community in what is considered one of the best VNSs in the entire Lakes region. So you have to look at all of the possibilities. And there's no reason, if you have good, solid numbers, we can't get that done relatively easily. I'm not going to say painlessly, but easily.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional follow-up questions from anyone? Do you have any questions for us?
When are you hoping someone could step in and start? I know that I believe you're out of here soon.
I think, yes.
She's not here now.
I was gonna say, thoughts on this would be, we would love.
Somebody's casting a shadow on
There would be, the thought would be, tonight we would look after this to, enter into an executive session with, I mean, honestly, to help you, Heather, the start date like tomorrow. To go over a transition plan. I'm imagining.
I could be here Monday for 2.5 days of the Christmas week and 2.5 days of the New Year's week. And then my plan is 3 days a week. I tend to do Zooms on Fridays. And my chairman in Boxborough would joke, because around 3:30, her phone would ring, and I was living in New York City at the time, if you have any concern about distance. I was doing Boxborough while living in New York City. And she would laugh and say, "You're on your way to New York." Yep, because I was on the phone for the next 2.5 hours. So I could start with you next week, but absolutely not this week. I would get dismembered by my partner waiting in the car.
Yeah, it's honest. It probably would take us days to set up.
Our police department.
Yeah.
Our police department's already busy, so we don't want that happening. Thank you.
We probably don't have enough guys on chat tonight, so. David, that was great. So it would be just as soon as possible. I know, Heather, you're probably working on putting together a transition plan for anyone that steps in. I imagine there'd be a ton of emails exchanged in that time, but that would kind of be how we would structure. I think it's a maximum hour, usually allotment for interns. What I see when you're retired, you're only allowed to work a certain amount of hours.
My suggestion to you is 22 hours a week, inclusive of my Zoom and telephone. That gives me 3 days a week here.
Can I ask you, what are you going to do with the Zoom? What kind of,
You mean?
Conference calls, team meetings on Zoom. It is amazing how much work you can now get done, video conferencing.
with the department head?
Yeah. Not uncommon at all.
Agreed.
I ran Molten Borough and Lunenburg at the same time. I ran Grafton and Templeton for almost a year at the same time through COVID. If it hadn't been for Zoom and, you know, these lovely things that we've now all become
So,
fixed to,
another-
I couldn't get that done.
Thank you. Another follow-up question. Are you working in any other town now?
I have a one-year on-call services contract with Molten Borough. So I finished up 2 collective bargaining agreements. The second one was put to bed last night. My only task now on those is just to review the red line, make sure everything gets all cleaned up, the formatting and the like. And then I'll get the occasional, hey, do you remember when you did the fee study up at the, that one was like 20 minutes, go through, find the, so, no, and I would not without notifying you.
Okay. No problem with select board meetings that run till 8:15. Please hold.
They are what they are. I'm used to select board meetings that start at 7 and end at 12:30 a.m. And I'm also used to select board meetings that start at 5 and end by 6:10. So it is what it is.
On the ladder. All right, any other questions? If not, I'll free you. We would, if selected tonight, you probably would receive a phone call if there were anything part of negotiations or contracts.
Let me just say that even if I'm not the right fit for you, if there's something that I can do, you see on the resume that I've accomplished, and I can offer some advice pro bono, I'm through here all the time. Please feel free to give me a call because we need to share knowledge. And why reinvent the wheel if another community's always, at least already got a few spokes on it for you. Thank you very much, folks. Have a good rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, folks, these are both held in open session, so it's never comfortable to do interviews or talk about candidates. What I would say is my feeling, I'll start with Carter because he went last. One of the things I liked, he did provide a page of references from multiple towns. I did get a chance, thank you, online to look at a lot of these towns. They had, I think West Boylston is bubbling over and everyone's like, oh my God, things are happening here. Some of these towns had things that I hope we never have to deal with, knock on wood. But not only did he do them, he has chairs that are still there and he's still, asked to come and attend and do work there years after. To me, I've only been doing this 4 years on this board, but that says a lot from what I'm seeing in the market. It seems like everyone's leaving constantly and they're, going from job to job. I think for an interim position, he had the most tenure with, I think it was like 7 or 8 references of multiple towns and cities, along with a pretty, we had an issue in town with one matter, he was dealing with Boxborough FBI, and they still call him back to help. Like, it's some pretty intense things where I think, coming into this, I think, oh my God, we have all this going on, but you might not think this is a ton to have. It might not be as challenging for him. Nathan, who we met first, I think he had a lot of passion. He had a lot of things that I think Mr. Crowley, who used to be on this board, would always be on us about these battle books, and everyone needed to create it because one day we were going to need it. My only concern is I don't understand the complexity with an LLC and looking at the pricing. I even at, it's 12,000 or 9,000 a month. We're just a small town. Like, we don't have that type of funds. And I also don't know what we're signing up for, because if the town administrator we bring in for the interim can write code, as someone that manages developers, when that person does leave, the next town administrator is no longer a town administrator.
We
I
need to-
need a developer.
I think we need to hire a computer science program, AA program.
So I think it's like, I don't know, do we add that to a job description for a town administrator? Now it changes just not day-to-day operations. I also need you to update code, and I don't know if that's the right, if you'd be successful doing it. So my feedback on the two is, I think for me, I think Carter could do the job in an interim before the search committee. Would it give the search committee enough time to really find the right person long-term? I think Nathan probably could do it as well. I worry it's too advanced, right? I think he
No.
has too much of something that's never been tried, but I could be wrong about this. This could be the right solution for us, and we'd have a new DPW request system instead of Facebook. I have a pothole, but I could be completely wrong here, so I'd love anyone else.
I think I liked everything he talked about, but it got so muddled and confused with what actually is the relationship here. Are we entering an agreement with his LLC? Or are we entering an agreement with him as an individual? He told us that he was presenting as the LLC, as a representative of the LLC, but then we would be contracting with him individually. I don't understand that part. The other part was, I liked a lot of what he was talking about, but that's a lot of long-term stuff that doesn't happen in, 3, 6, 9, 10, 12 months. All the things he was talking about, those battle books that Pat would talk about.
Yep.
All the systemic knowledge, all the building resiliency within your systems, and how do you do that as a leader. That stuff takes time. And oh, by the way, he was talking about actually building the systems. He wasn't actually talking about administering the systems as a leader and building that strength of the system as an individual leader. I like Carter a lot. He didn't get it. There's a lot there. I mean, there's a lot to dig into at any given point in his conversation. If you stopped him and asked him to go deeper, I got the feeling that there was a lot of depth there that you could go down and dig through. He's not going to build the systems that Nathan would. But the flip side is, he doesn't have to. He's an interim, and he's kind of caretaking and making sure that the stuff that's here is in place and it's being done correctly, and that everything's where it should be for the person that comes in and has to figure things out. My concern is that to his earlier point, the answer to your question, he doesn't have anybody here to help him administer those things. So he's looking for somebody to help administer those things, administer the town. He's 100% correct. I mean, you can have those meetings on Zoom. You can probably do a couple different jobs at the same time. The issue is he didn't have anybody here to help him find those pieces. So I'm not entirely sure I know what to do here. I think they're both really good candidates with really interesting skill sets.
Yeah, but I think that issue, Mr. Morrissey, is gonna be an issue, right? We don't have someone else here. So we have one guy's gonna be building systems, another guy is somewhat relying on another set of institutional knowledge that neither one of these two candidates would have. We're gonna have to rely on us somewhat, I guess, you folks, for that. So I'm a little concerned about either one of them, that we're in a boat that we don't have anyone just even tending that ship on like odd hours. And I know that that's an issue that we've talked a little bit about with the committee, that's an important piece of this. Whoever that's going to be, the likelihood isn't, gonna be someone, they may have knowledge, but it's not gonna be of this institution, right, of this community, of this town. And so we're gonna have two new people here really sort of trying to figure out at the same time. And I think that's just something that you all have to kind of be in the back of your minds, thinking about how is that really gonna work? And how much expectation can we have of either, of the assistant and/or the interim? I mean, at least he said he had some, he was up at Mixter Building in the rain. So he has some knowledge.
He knows.
Yeah, so,
This isn't that unique a town, and if he's got 15 years of experience, I might question whether or not he could navigate that. This is a guy with 45 years of experience. I'm sure he could figure that part out.
yeah.
So I don't know that, I don't want to put too much weight on that issue, but
I think part of that would be to your point, we have a part-time person, but one of the first things is hiring a full-time person to sit here. The one bonus we do have is we have really good department heads who know,
Sure.
I mean, they have been here forever. If you reached out to Leslie, she could probably walk you back through. We have a lot going on, but, perfect thing about audits, we're up on those. We have, you know what I mean? Like, we have really good people that run those departments, so the machine runs really well, I think, for him to come into. But we would have to hire someone full-time to be here to, it's that everyday exchange for the person that's not on social media, not online, that's coming in. And feeling confident because he has some experience. Nathan did as well, but I think probably in 10 years from now, we're gonna see that LLC be something, at MMA. I don't personally know I could now take a risk in that, right? And it gives the search committee, I feel like it puts so much pressure on you because it really would be, I'm changing the script now. You're looking for something very different in a full-time person than we have looked for in the past. So, I kind of...
So this is the one of the reason I was very reluctantly voted yes on that day for the municipal assistant to leave. But what you can do? So Ashwell's argument was, what if she leaves tomorrow? I agree with that, but I don't know. It's anyway. But again, if something has, if interim town administrator, if he really desperately needs something, I'm sure, we could call, the police station and get the information.
Well, and I think, as I said in that meeting, I think that role for Faye was it's a good role for her, and it provided more opportunity. And I don't think ever, it's bad if we get into a position where we stop things from happening, because then we are what social media says we are, and then you're stopping someone who's just gonna, if I was in the other role and you said no, it's almost like you blocked me from moving, because in my world, we've identified you as a critical asset, so now you can't go anywhere else. Then you start, that's exactly what happens. That's fine, I'll go to the next town, because they're all hiring the same roles. It's all about money. How much are you willing to pay? And what can we give you to start? So I think in that situation, yes, right? But I also think Faye is right there. I mean, she's...
Hopefully she will willing to help.
So,
For my thing, so this, Nathan is kind of, he is trying to build a business. AI is still evolving, and he is, it seems like he is the one-man army building this AI. So he may want to use our town as a practice field. So that's how I feel like. And also AI is a huge thing. So can we put that AI to this town municipal thing? Yes, certain departments we can. But it is, it, and Ashwell knows it, all the computer science.
Maybe he has to give us IP.
You need so many people to develop this software, and then give it to the testing, and then in implementation. So I don't think so he has done all of those things. So, I don't know, my feeling is, he is not the right fit at this time for here. Carter, he has tons of experience, worked all other places. But we got to be careful. So We did change three town admins.
I think
I don't want to change the interim town administrator too.
yeah,
Yes, we are desperate, we do need a interim town admin. So, we have no choice now.
I think it's unfortunate that we actually can't have the two of them together, because I feel like what Carter brings to the table, that wealth of knowledge of a career in all different municipalities, facing all different kinds of problems, and working through them in a whole different list of scenarios, that briefcase that you walk in the door with is invaluable. It's a lifetime of experience of probably every municipal hiccup you can think of and how to start working through those. I think Nathan brings a very pragmatic, practical approach to, there are a lot of things in every layer of government that are probably 6 steps when they should be 2. And finding where you can streamline those things just gives you back more time in your employees' days to go accomplish more things throughout the whole town. People are a limited resource in these positions because our budgets are limited. So making them more valuable, getting through the minutia and getting to actual work that, you really needed someone with a brain in their head to process through. Without a doubt, I think he's onto something, and I think that will pay dividends for virtually every flavor of government going forward. If I had to pick between the two of them today, I do feel that Carter likely brings more to the table for what we are looking for as someone to sort of steady the ship and get through the next few months, and then be able to hand off to the next town admin in a good shape. But I don't doubt that we'll probably be considering Nathan's services at some point to figure out where we can take what used to be a 2-month process and make it a week process.
I love everything he talked about.
Yeah, he may be good after 10 years. He may be good after 10 years.
I don't know, I think we'll see him in a year with that product.
I actually think that if we had a longer-term vision of what the interim position was, okay, you've got 2 years in which you're gonna do this, fine. That's.
So I don't think so he is interested in a long-term
He's not,
intern.
but
He is a
that's-
short-term,
but
he want to
that's-
get out.
But that's my point,
Yeah,
right?
I think Jay's point is that just, even in the short-term basis, if
He
he
runs out
had
of
more,
time.
if he had more runway,
Yeah.
then the systems that he could put in place would not only work, but then he would have time to essentially educate the staff on really the inner workings of them enough to where the staff would then be self-sufficient at administering what he put in place. We're not trying to offer that kind of time, we hope.
And also we have to think of something also, So not every single town staff, they are very proficient in computer, Some of them still have a trouble updating some of the things, they have.
I hear your point, and I think, what he was trying to allude to was, a lot of those systems and those pain points come from just friction, from you're working on something that's 30 years old. And I think he was looking to say, where do you take the friction out of that system? But I understand your point.
Vanessa, you've been quiet, so I think you're milling over what you're considering.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because, again, they both bring very different things to the table. I liked the fact that Nathan has a lot of processes. That's how I am. I like to put things in boxes and make sure that, everything is where it's supposed to be and be efficient, et cetera, et cetera. But I think Carter is probably what our town needs at this moment. I think we just need somebody to come in, get the job done until the next person comes in. I really do hope that, Nathan's product will, come to fruition, and maybe we can use them down the line. But for me, I think Carter's the best option.
All right, so hearing all of that, I think we're all gonna one day be cited by Nathan being like, I gave you the first chance, folks. I can hear this in 5 years, or we're all gonna say we should have got in before it went public. I'm guessing at this point, I would entertain a motion. This motion would be to appoint an interim, but that would be contingent on executive session and negotiation of contract. Do I hear a motion?
So,
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Carter Terrazini an interim town administrator pending the outcome of contract negotiations.
second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Raj?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Vanessa?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Okay, we are supposed to, I thank you, Mr. O'Day, for, now you know anytime you show up, I'm just gonna make you sit in a seat up here.
I'm surprised I didn't appoint you.
If Bob was here, we would appoint Bob. Bob O'Connell, we'll just make him do things.
We'll just appoint
We'll
him.
just appoint Bob to everything. All right, so I'm gonna do some quick items. We have an executive session on here, so some of the quick items, housekeeping, is review and vote to approve warrants for the period covering December 4th, 2025 to December
it-
17th,
I
2025.
think Chris has something.
Oh,
Public comment?
I'm gonna do the housekeeping, but then I'm gonna get you in.
Okay.
Promise.
So
I
moved.
promise.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Regular meeting minutes, I would entertain a motion to approve all of them at once. No?
No, you have to table October 15, October 5, and October 19. But you can, the August 12th was the goal setting,
So approve August, we have August 12th.
and then December 3rd.
Okay, just kidding. I would entertain a motion to approve August 12th, 2025, regular session to December 3rd.
Well, can we do them separate?
Yes.
Sorry. I make a motion to approve August 12th, meeting minutes.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Yes, for
Hearing
me.
none. Yes? I'm a yes, we're all yes?
Yes.
Present.
Okay.
My
I
only
wasn't
little
there.
tiny thing is that my name wasn't on the minutes. I wasn't there, but I wasn't listed as not there,
Oh, okay. Sorry.
which I'd like make a motion to approve them pending that one. I know.
That
I know.
I've done, and
Yep.
some of the nuances I didn't catch. So I will add that, and
Okay,
I think if you sign the signature page, I'll just update that top page. and
Perfect.
be all set. Thank
all
you.
right, so I make a motion to approve that pending that one change.
For December 3rd?
Yes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Hearing any, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay. I'm going to open it up to public comment. Chris, I'm taking you very first because you have been patient, and I thank you. You do have to tell us your name and stuff.
Chris
So
Berglund, Goodale Street. I'm actually here as a citizen, but I wanted to update the select board as also, I'm also a member of the Affordable Housing Trust, of which Mr. Ashwell is as well. But we have engaged a consultant for the update of the housing production plan in town. This is a plan that we actually were successful several times administrator ago. Jennifer Warren Diamond got a $50,000 a grant. I'm not going to say how much it was, but it was a grant that will cover the cost of the full services of LDS Associates in an update of the 2018 housing production plan. As the select board, as one of the many boards in town, but the consultant will be stopping in, working with you folks through the process, as well as all the citizens as we look at housing costs in town, available land. We talked about competing sources, competing interests in land for whether it be fire stations, whether it be schools, whether it be cemeteries. Housing's another one, and there's very little of it. So that's going to be a component. Actually, the select board will end up submitting it, the finished product, to the state to help us continue to be in compliance with 40B and give us some.
I'm going to restate what I think I heard you say. So they're updating the 2018?
Correct. Yep. This is a process that's supposed to be done every 5 years. And it actually did start in 2023.
I was going to say, because I remember that very thing sitting in these seats. So it started in 2023. We have a very active townwide planning. Would
Yep.
they make a stop there?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. That's a very important piece of it. Very important piece. And thanks to Heather for getting us over the last hurdle to get the
The nice thing is that everybody is really ticking off the town administrator report items.
Oh,
So we're gonna be,
Okay, that's good
Yeah.
there, so that's good.
yeah,
Well, that's
perfect.
not good.
And Representative O'Day too, because I know that he was instrumental in the grant that was
Okay.
awarded, so.
All right.
anyways.
Thank you.
But
Now
thanks,
you're
we'll-
free.
we'll
Thank
be
you, Mr.
back.
Berglund.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks. All right, anyone else for public comment? Hearing no one? 1, 2, 3, moving on. Next item is to consider approving the 2026 license renewals for the following businesses. I'm going to say as listed in our agenda, there are 3 pages, and there's a book for us to sign.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
So
All in favor?
Discussion,
Oh.
discussion. So the only problem I see here is, one of the good time to talk about some of the issues with the, I'm not saying here to stop any businesses. We cannot stop, or we cannot stop issuing the businesses. But we do know that there is a problem with one of the business, and not now, maybe after January or February, we could, through the interim town administrator, we could get the DQ back to the board and ask them, whether they could do anything for the traffic issues over there, spillover over there, what kind of mitigation they can do. So that's one of my concern I have. So this, if I would have known this one is happening in the first December meeting, we could have hold up. But this is too late to hold up. But having said that, we may have to consider January or February.
So, hearing that, noting it, the only question I'd say is everybody's in good standing for paying their bills. I do agree that's an issue, but
Traditionally, when you have a renewal, it's so long as the applications are completed, everybody, those are the things that you're looking at. Certainly, I agree that you have a traffic safety issue. I think your transportation committee is looking at that as well. Perhaps this board and that board could meet to discuss options with the owners of that, but I agree with you, Raj, that renewal time is not the time to address operational issues.
I agree, but at the same time, we have to get them back to the board sometime. I don't know how. but-
An invitation.
oh, it's a perfect way. All right, I'm gonna go old business, so,
You need to get the vote.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No? All right, update on town administrator search update.
So we have received 28,
27.
we got one more recently.
Oh, okay.
28 applications, which is a lot.
People wanna come
And
here.
we started reviewing them on Monday, and we are planning on starting first round interviews in January after the holidays. The end date is a rolling end date, meaning anybody can still apply. And so the posting will still be posted.
Okay, wonderful, that's great. Cemetery Commission we're gonna move this to a future agenda item?
None of the commissioners or the trustees were available this evening.
Okay, and it looks like we don't have any appointments, but I also see Solid Waste Enterprise Program. Do we have,
Yes, I have an update for you on
Okay.
that. And I just would like to acknowledge that the resignation or the retirement letter came in for Officer Westerman right after the agenda posted. So otherwise, that would have been on your agenda for this evening. But he's not officially off duty until December 31st, so you can have that on your next agenda to acknowledge and wish him well. On the solid waste implementation, we had talked at your last meeting that the board did not want to choose between the 2 finance committee members that had applied for that position. I spoke with the chair, and the chair has acknowledged that he would like to serve in that official finance committee role capacity, and that leaves a resident, so if you want to appoint him, and then that leaves your resident at large seat, which you could consider appointing the other finance committee member, because he is also a resident, or you have the application from Mr. Crowley. Or you could expand the membership of that committee and with them.
Yeah, but I think that would make it 6, right? 6 people, so they could, 3 to 3, that makes it,
Yeah.
7.
I don't know how many difficult
You
votes
get
they're gonna
second.
be taking.
No,
but-
I'm saying 7. We could make it to 7.
it's hard to get it.
Yeah, so.
I would say, so
I think, the board has to make a decision, choose one of those finance committee member.
it would, so did he just did they vote or did they forgo the vote?
They had not had a meeting. I
Okay.
met with Ray. He said that he would speak with the other individual that had requested and that they would ratify. So, as chair, he would like to
He gets to,
participate.
we're still in the same boat.
Well, no,
I know, but I get that. I'm chair. I usually try to get all of them to be on the boards. But that's not, sometimes, you can kind of invoke that chair, terrible title.
What's the other person's name?
Sorry.
Greg is the
I
chair.
make a motion to appoint Greg
As the finance.
as the
As the
town resident.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. All right, we would need to vote on Ray, a motion to appoint Ray in his capacity as a finance committee member.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Wonderful. So the next one, do you want to go over the hours for the building? It looks like December 18th, noon to 2.
So that's tomorrow. We're closing. We have a holiday get-together at the senior center. There's about 35 employees that are participating, which I think is a record. It won't be quite 2 hours, but it'll be probably more than an hour. So we'll post it in all the appropriate places. And then December 24th, there's a proposal to close at noon. I did poll the other surrounding communities, and most of the town halls are closing at noon or 1 o'clock that day. I think most of the offices would be organically closing early, so I'd rather just, for the sake of not having frustrated residents coming to the building and only finding 1 or 2 people here, just close, and then obviously close for Christmas. We will be open at full capacity on Friday, the 27th.
What about New Year's Eve, any different?
No, New Year's, we'll.
New Year's you're closed, but New Year's Eve you're open full-time? Okay.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. I would say the only thing on this, it would be nice, I know you won't be here, but maybe a note to the next one. There's always holidays that come to us and then we're voting on it, but they could be just in the personnel. Like the personnel committee could say, these are the dates we're open and closed. That way it's them and it's.
And I've reached out to other town administrators in our immediate vicinity to see if they have noon on Christmas Eve as part of their personnel, and they said, no, we just closed the building because everybody goes home anyway, so it doesn't make sense to keep the building open. So I absolutely agree with you, and that it
Then
would be
it's not a
nice to
vote by
have
us,
that.
it just happens every year
Well,
on.
You can
I'll
see, I
vote.
just sort of.
Yeah, I'll vote to codify it.
I know, I was like, but it just makes it, because you never know who's gonna be here. I'll be gone in 17 months, and the person that's sitting here might not be okay with it, and then every time it's a vote and a change. And the staff's kind of waiting. This would be my thought, but, all right, next one, do you have anything in the town administrator report that they didn't steal from you?
So the only thing that I would like to say is that we did issue contracts for the DPW fire station feasibility. That contract has gone out to the selected firm, TGIS, TGIAS, and also to Lynn Sweet Services, who is doing the housing production plan for the town. We issued an invitation for bid for a generator at the fire station. It was amazing to me how many people had very last minute things that they really wanted to get advertised in the last couple weeks. So we've knocked out a lot of procurement in making that happen. So that's great news. The solid waste, we've been meeting internally, Carrie and Tom from Public Works to discuss the billing and how that it will all roll out, as well as our finance team. Norma and the Board of Health have also popped in because we'll be developing those Board of Health regulations with staff. And so I think that to ease the concerns that I heard from you tonight, that nothing's been done, and that I'm walking away having accomplished nothing since town meeting. I just want to let you know that there's a lot of documentation that has already been put into draft form based on town policies, based on administrative capacity, and all of those materials will be put into a package for your implementation subcommittee that you just finished appointing. And really, there's a lot of work, a lot of preliminary work to put that subcommittee into a position where they can be successful very quickly, and that rollout. A lot of the preliminary tracks have already been laid for that. So to ease the concerns or the worries that
Well, I would say, I'm sorry if my statement made you think I said you did nothing. I mean,
No,
we're getting asked every day, and I don't know what to say to them.
So one of the things that SWAT has put together is a very generic acknowledgement that will go out with your street listing mailing, the mailing that you get, that you acknowledge that you still live at your address, and no, I do not have a dog, right? So that mailing will have a very brief statement that acknowledges that this is, coming, that these are the immediate changes, there'll be no changes to your service. It's more of a letter of reassurance that
Something's in process, so they stop
something's in
calling.
process. And also, the biggest question that we've heard is my curbside day gonna change?
Yep.
And so,
When do I get my bin? When is it coming? Will it have my name on it?
so those types of questions we can address, and that mailing will go out, I think it's either the last week of December or the first week of January.
Will we be able to see it before it goes out?
I can certainly share it with you.
It's something we'll see online, and they'll be like,
Yeah.
why did you do this? And
Yeah.
we'll all be like, I don't know.
Yeah, when I read it, it was so benign that I'm like, I'm not even gonna open it up to, but I will certainly share it out. If you have any immediate concerns, please get back.
Wonderful.
And then, budget development, the deadline for capital project requests was December 11th. I received a request from the school, from the Council on Aging, and from the library. I saw nothing from Public Works. So I know that he has them. We just haven't had a chance to see them. So before I send those out to the CIB and to the board, I want to make sure that I have them all. So we're still collecting those. The deadline for the FY27 operational budget is the first week of January. Those will all be coming in, and Leslie has, as she always does, taken on the superhuman task of compiling them into a single budget document. I believe that's what she did for the town last year. So the interim town administrator will have a functioning budget document to begin his work on. And then lastly, the transition. We do have Anna, who is the admin assistant in the assessor's office. She has been up in the select board executive assistant seat every day for half a day, getting to know the files, getting to know the computer system. I am throwing things at her like crazy.
Can you get it from your desk through
Yeah.
the
I
conference
can.
room, right?
Paper airplanes.
Because that was a concern I heard
paper-
tonight.
I know that, but whatever. It's kind of nice having a little separation. But Anna she was fantastic when we brought her on in the assessor's office. She really did a fantastic job of organizing and getting that office into a very high functioning space. There's a lot more going on up here, but she's taking it in stride. She'll be here half days, Monday through Thursday, and all day on Friday. She'll be in the building the other half of that day, so we'll put a note on the door to direct people downstairs.
She'll be happy about that.
Well,
What half is she up here?
it's actually day to day.
Oh, okay.
So it really depends on what's on her plate in the assessor's office. If she has something that's critical that has to get out in the morning, she'll be down there. But again, the note on the door system, we are still a small enough town hall that a note on the door is pretty productive.
Will her email stay the same?
I'm sorry?
Sorry, will her email stay the same as it is now? Like, she's not getting us 2 emails?
She is not, but we have updated within our internal systems that when you use the generic town admin at West Boylston hyphen, it is going to her.
Okay.
So she is and we have been very systematically and very thoughtfully, as I get an email and as the Faisal email gets pinged, redirecting people to the town admin.
Yep.
So that we can transition your interim into that same group email. So that should be pretty seamless. Anna will be doing payroll, invoicing, answering phones, all of the basic office functions. We are not overloading her. She's not having any of the HR responsibilities, and but I haven't quite introduced her to your agenda process, but we will take care of that next. So.
What about, so would it be something that we would discuss in terms of maybe hiring someone part-time to do meeting minutes?
We've reached out to, the planning board has a new minute taker, and I've reached out to her. While we've been here meeting, she's actually responded and said that so long as you are comfortable with her picking them up off the recordings, because she has a full-time job and other responsibilities. So I don't see that as an issue. Between the Zoom summaries and the recording, I think she can get the information. And she'll attend when she can, but if she's not here, minutes could still get done.
Great. So that was going to be my only question. I know I had reached out to you for that and to see some of our tax write-off folks. I know we only had a half day, but just to have a consistent.
Yeah. Well, so I think that's the key word, is consistent.
Yeah.
Is if we put too many people in that office, it becomes a little choppy. How many people are going to be in the email? How many people are responding? Right. What is the consistency of the messaging? So I think, and again, this will no longer be my decision.
No, but I think it makes sense.
I think that it sounds like Carter is anxious for a strong.
Yep.
And we have lots of applications and resumes that have come in, and if they want, and if he feels that that's a priority, we have that information ready to go.
Have we had a lot more, I know I blasted it out on a bunch of different platforms based on that last meeting we had where you said you didn't have a ton of folks.
Unfortunately, still, there is not anybody with any municipal experience. And so I think that's what you weigh, right? I mean, with Carter coming in with 40 years of basic town government, he's certainly going to be in a much better position to, even though he doesn't know where
things are,
where the bodies are buried, and where the files are, he still understands what has to be done, and I think is in a better position to train.
Okay. Anything other? I will say for the fire station and DPW, they already sent us a questionnaire to fill out.
Right.
I'm guessing the fire chief and the DPW director would fill those out, but That was my first, we got that this morning. But this is, I feel like we're kind of in good shape. Is there anything else folks have for future agenda items or select board reports?
I just wanted to remind whoever had December at the senior center.
Not me.
Not December, January. Is that you?
I had December, but I had a work thing come up, so that did not happen. And as
Do you remember who we
I
assigned?
was there.
No, yeah, sorry, I meant for January. January, the first Wednesday in January, which one of us
did
can
go.
make it?
You're the first week in January?
No,
No,
he already
last
went to
month.
the December
It was
one.
December.
So do you
Great.
want to do January?
Can you do the first Wednesday in January?
It's the 7th.
Same as this. Can you pause for 3 quick seconds, please?
I will be in Mexico.
You'll be there in spirit.
If you can't do it, I will do it, David, or Jay will do it, 'cause Jay should take on more.
I don't want to do that.
Let's
I don't, that's,
Maybe I nominate Jay from
You do?
January to June. January to June, every month.
hi.
I'm sorry, remind me of the time again?
10.
Yes, I can do that.
All right, and I think we really did a number on this agenda tonight.
No.
Consider entering in,
I'll be coming back to the,
yes, I'm gonna ask, so this board would reconvene an open session to consider and possibly vote on the employment contract.
I have a quick
Go for it.
thank you note to say. So I would like to take a moment, as this is our final select board meeting of 2025. As we come to close of the year, enter the holiday season, it's worth pausing to reflect on the people who quietly and consistently make West Boylston the community it is. I want to begin by thanking our residents. Your involvement, your patience, and your care for this town are the foundation of everything we do here. I also want to express my sincere appreciation to our town employees across every single board. Day after day, often behind the scenes, you show up and do the work that keeps this town running. I also want to thank the many boards and committees members who volunteered their time and talents in service to our community. I would like to recognize our town administrator, Heather Butler. She stepped into this role during a challenging period and helped guide the town through significant responsibilities, including the town budget, town meeting, and also the 2.5 override and the creation of a solid waste enterprise account. I supported her appointment and I appreciated working with her. I thank her for her service to West Boylston, and I wish her all the best as she begins her next chapter in Rutland. I also want to thank my colleagues on the select board, Chair Christina Pedon, Vice Chair Vanessa Kusmanowski, Clerk David Aswell, and James Morrissey. I appreciate the dedication, professionalism, and the time each of you give us to this town. Finally, I want to thank the residents who have placed their trust in me to serve 4th time as a selectman. The trust has great deal to me and continued guide how I appreciate this role. I wish Merry Christmas, a joyful holiday season, and a healthy and prosperous New Year. I'm done.
Thank you, Raj.
Very nice.
I would say, Heather, we're gonna all sign that, okay? For you.
And we'll get it posted,
We'll get it posted.
so, because there's a lot of people that
I wonder if we should take a photo now so he'll smile in it. No, I'm giving him, but thank you, Raj, that was great. I'd say, Heather, Rutland will love you. If you get bored, okay, you can just read the news. I know we'll be in it. But no, I'd say thank you. I will say in the first 2 weeks of your employment, someone did ask me recently, I was like, everything happened. They're like, sum it up. I was like, everything and town meeting.
All the things.
All the things happened all at once, and I think we're all just still on that holly jolly ride. But it will get better. And I do think we have one meeting, but it's scheduled for December 31st, right? Do we have something scheduled? When's our next, I don't know when our next one is.
30th.
First and third.
Okay, so, but you'll get to hopefully work with someone before you leave this building to transition stuff to, or just write it down on a piece of paper and leave it in the conference room.
I have
A plan?
I have a pretty good list.
Okay, I don't even know. It'll be an interesting time. Anything else that was missed on this agenda, we will come back to an open session to vote for the employment contract if we come to terms in the executive session, but anything else that was missed on the agenda? Hearing nothing, I'm gonna continue, so, consider entering into an executive session under the provisions of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiation with non-union personnel, or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-personnel for an interim town administrator appointment. The board will reconvene in open session to consider and possibly vote on the employment contract. As chair, I agree with this. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in, Raj?
Yes.
Jay? Yes. Vanessa?
Yes.
David?
Yep.
All right, folks, let's see us in the other room. We'll be right back. Okay, so we are back in open session. I would entertain a motion to approve the employment contract for Carter with the stipulation that it needs to be reviewed and approved by legal counsel before being sent.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Raj?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Yes. Vanessa?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
I would also entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second? Come on, Raj.
Second.
The last.
Second.
meeting of the year.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Bye, everyone.